Nikhil Jadhav. I'm representing the PIETA committee today. I'm a part of the PIETA executive committee. I take this opportunity to welcome all dignitaries and fellow professionals for this knowledge seminar. Today we have the first, and we assume the first of many such events of something called the Grow Your Knowledge series, which is a talk by experts. Today we have three renowned experts who have taken out their valuable time for enlightening us on topics of their respective expertise. We have with us Shri Dr. Sanjay Deshmukh, who is a former Vice Chancellor and in fact the youngest of his time, the former Vice Chancellor of University of Mumbai. He is an expert on life sciences. We will go into his detailed bio when we come to his introduction, when we introduce him on stage. Our other esteemed panelists today are Advocate Sanjay Kadam, who is Senior Counsel, and Advocate Shri Pradeep Gandhi, who is an expert on MRTP Act and BMC Act. Dr. Sanjay Deshmukh is going to cover a presentation on balancing urban development with ecological resilience in Mumbai. Somebody in the media recently said that if India were to find a solution to its air pollution problem, it would probably save more lives than it would save by solving the problem of cancer. That is where we are at with the air pollution problem. We all as experts are of course contributing to the same, but we are trying to find a solution and we want esteemed Dr. Sanjay Deshmukh to guide us on this path. Advocate Shri Sanjay Kadam Saab and Advocate Pradeep Gandhi ji will cover their expert presentations on latest landmark court judgments related to real estate and land development matters. I welcome you all and thank you all and wish more encouragement like this so that our President Sir's vision for bringing up such topics which are not usually in the subject matter of our practice, we can take up such matters more with your support. Welcome all. I now call on stage PIETA office bearers. To begin with, President Shri Sandeep Isore Saab. IPP Dubbal Saab is unfortunately not here. Our VPs are yet to join. They will join the stage along with Sandeep sir. Honorary Secretaries Milind Changani, they will also join. Our convener, Architect Shri Sukhatme ji, please join the stage. I request Tarun Mota Saab, please join the stage. Yes, up there. Suyog Seth sir, please join the stage as well. We welcome our experts. Dr. Sanjay Deshmukh sir, please join the stage. I request President sir to felicitate our esteemed guest. I welcome Advocate Sanjay Kadam Saab on stage, please. I request Sukhatme sir to felicitate Sanjay Kadam sir. Third guest is yet to arrive. He will be here shortly. We will felicitate him when he arrives. I call upon President Shri Sandeep Isore ji for the welcome speech, please.
Today's honorable guests, Dr. Sanjay Deshmukh sir, Dr. Sanjay Kadam sir, and the forthcoming Pradeep Gandhi ji. All dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, PIATA Executive Committee members who have wholeheartedly worked to see this day. The convener, all important, the convener, Shri Sukatme sir. I welcome all to this first leaf of the new book called Knowledge Series. So, with this particular concept, we are trying to invite like-minded peoples who have affinity and affection to share their knowledge. And I would request them not to only share their knowledge, but share their experiences of application of their knowledge. So it becomes very interesting as well as guiding to us. Okay, once you know the subject, how difficult it is to apply or how easy it is to experience. Normally, PIATA is known for seminars or symposiums on development control regulation, DP plan, IOD, CC, then certain modifications. So we thought that somewhere in between there should be thought-provoking seminars also, because otherwise it becomes monotonous and sometimes it has a स्लाइटली निगेटिव्ह इम्पॅक्ट की अरे आपण 4-5 वेळा प्रयत्न करतो अजून ते काय होत नाही, मग त्यातला थोडा वेळ आपण असा चांगल्या कामाला लावूया म्हणून आम्ही तुम्हा सगळ्यांना बोलवलं आहे सर. सो नॉर्मली थ्रू दीज बिल्डिंग प्लान्स, DCR and all these things, what we are trying to do, we are witness of the exponential increase in the infrastructure development or redevelopment. So that exponential increase in infrastructure, or for that matter building development and redevelopment, is for the ease of Apla Mumbaikar, so that he gets a good home to live in, good roads to drive in and other facilities. So we are looking at those milestones by virtue of Bandra-Bareilly Sea Link, then its extension, then Atal Setu, earlier to that the freeway, which really has played their role in particularly giving certain kind of ease. But all through the travel there are some bottlenecks. I mean, there are real bottlenecks to traffic as well as to the implementation of a thought of giving ease to the living standards of Mumbaikar. So those who are in their 50s and 60s are witness to dormant phase of Mumbai development. I mean, nothing was happening for some of the years in between. Would not like to blame anybody, but probably a person like me will only think that it was a issue of funds availability for implementing the needful infrastructure development. So I welcome the third speaker on the day, Shri Pradeep Gandhi ji. Sir, welcome to PIATA Forum, and we are thankful for your precious time given for today's event, and we will have more and more interaction with you today as well as in the future. So I was talking about the dormant phase of Mumbai when nothing was happening, and today if something is happening, we are finding it to some extent apprehending certain part of the life of the Mumbaikar. So by virtue of that, anybody would agree to that, yes, if housing for all is the decision taken by the central government, or for that matter for all the state governments, houses are to be built. They will have to be done. for houses to be built, there will have to be other infrastructure related facilities, services to be given to the population. So slum redevelopment, old building redevelopment, society building redevelopment, or for that matter development and related infrastructure development are going to be there. Otherwise, we were only thinking 15, 20 years before, कि nothing is happening. So, if it happens, so what is the, as of today's scenario, that poses some other questions. So, in that respect, one would always say, and the word is always there, sustainable development. So, just for in a lighter vein, I would say कि we thought that the sustainable means, as a civil engineer, the building should stand safely. Sustained, the building has sustained. But no, sustainability means it impacts the around ecology, environment, social environment in minimal way. It is going to impact, but it should be in a minimal way. So balancing of both the issues, whatever we have, and it's the upliftment of the infrastructure and building development or redevelopment should have a minimal effect on what we have today. So this Mumbai, those who have all gathered here, this Mumbai has given a lot of things to us. Pride, respect, the stability in life, as well as has given enough thought for our minds to work it on. Somewhere we are happy, we could respond certain issues in time. So we are part of the growth of this Mumbai. But then what exactly is Apli Mumbai? So that's why we thought that let there be a next knowledge series event. LIF will be about the history of the Mumbai, so that we try and learn what otherwise Mumbai was or is, and love that particular characters of the Mumbai in wholehearted way, without making any adverse impact on it. So with those issues, the sustainability has come. So balancing of development, redevelopment of buildings as well as infrastructure, and without making much of a harm to the present ecological system in Mumbai. So that is what is needed. And that's why, sir, we thought you will be the right person to guide us how to balance it. I mean, talking on any one line or any one part of this balancing act will be a bit easy. But as we know, we are all married person. So how to balance the married life is also a skill. So which we learn on our own, or after, of course, at times taking the advice of those who are faithful. Faithful in a family, they will not tell to our wives, कि अरे हाँ ऐसा विचार होता मला. So without saying that, so we thought that कि you may be certainly guiding us as a professional, which probably the other part of infrastructure development is the government agency, all those offices, who certainly will going to review and review the video of the today's event. So your guidance will reach with all those stakeholders who are related to our industry, sir. So I request you to guide us in all those aspects here. The next subject we selected about the various court orders regarding the land development issues, which are otherwise going to make an impact on the industry, on the speed of the development of building development as well as redevelopment. So we thought that let us get an insight of all those court orders, the petitions itself. So with this particular thing, the other member of the today's particular event, Sir Sanjay Kadamji, who is senior counsel, is a good practicing one, and always having a special affection for Piata events, where he is wholeheartedly ready to share what is his experience about all these orders. So looking at our own invitation card in today morning, when I was saying it, let us go today, we will get certain kind of insight of all those subjects. So मराठीत थोडं सांगतो कारण आपली महाराष्ट्राची मायबोली आहे त्यामुळे, की आपल्या सगळ्यांच्या जीवनाचं सार सांगणारी जी भगवद्गीता आहे, ती गीता वाचताना आपण नेहमीच बघतो की त्यातल्या सगळ्या श्लोक म्हणताना आपण प्रत्येक वेळेला येते संजय उवाच. सो बघा योगायोग कसा आहे की जीवनाचं सार सांगताना ती गीता प्रत्येक वेळा त्या संजयच्या मुखातून येते, जो तो धृतराष्ट्राला सांगत असतो, आणि त्याच्या त्या वाणीतून आलेली गीता आपल्याला जीवनाचं सार सांगून जाते. बऱ्याच वेळा ते जीवन कसं जगायचं आणि कसं जगू नये हेही सांगून देते. तसंच ह्या मुंबईचं किंवा या MMR एरियाचं जेव्हा केव्हा आपण बॅलन्सिंग करायचं आहे की डेव्हलपमेंट, रिडेव्हलपमेंट ॲज वेल ॲज प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ व्हॉट वी हॅव टुडे, हे देखील आपल्याला 2 संजय सांगणार आहेत. आणि त्यानंतर श्री प्रदीप गांधी असतीलच. सो हे आपलं भाग्य आहे की परत एकदा संजय ओवाच म्हणून आपल्याला त्या गोष्टीचे सार काय मिळणार आहेत. कदम सरांशी मी मघा तसे गप्पा मारत होतो, पण थोडं ठरवूनच आलो होतो सर की तुम्हाला आज विचारावं की प्रत्येक नियम DCR, DP हा बनवण्याची एक पद्धत आहे. लोकांनी लोकांसाठी केलेलं जे राज्य आहे लोकशाही, त्यामधले हे काही प्रिन्सिपल्स आहेत की तुम्ही एक त्यांना कुठला तरी ड्राफ्ट द्यायचा आहे, लोकांनी तो समजून घ्यायचा आहे, नसेल तर समजून सांगायचं आहे. त्याचे आपण सेमिनार घेतलेले आहेत जेव्हा DP आणि DCR होत होता 2018, ज्याला आपण 2034 DP म्हणतो किंवा DCR म्हणतो. हा सगळा होत असताना आपण त्यांना समजून सांगितलं आहे, आपण म्हणजे गव्हर्नमेंटच्या लोकांनी समजून सांगितलं आहे. काही आपल्यासारखे जे प्रोॲक्टिव्ह लोक होते त्यांनी पण थोडी मेहनत घेतली यावर. म्हणजे पियाटानी तर भरपूर मेहनत घेतली आहे. आधीच्या सगळ्या लोकांनी भरपूर त्याच्यावर इव्हेंट्स करून ते नॉलेज डिसिपेट केलं की काय होतं आहे, काय होणार आहे याचं. एवढा सगळा वेळ जाऊन त्यावर ड्यू प्रोसेस ऑफ लॉप्रमाणे सजेशन ऑब्जेक्शन घेऊन एखादा लॉ तयार होतो, मग तो इम्प्लिमेंट आपण करतो. कुठले XYZ माणसाला, प्रोफेशनलला किंवा त्या डेव्हलपरला जेव्हा त्या एका फील्डमध्ये त्याची पुंजी लावायची आहे, तर त्याला एक प्रेडिक्टेबिलिटी हवी असते. व ती प्रेडिक्टेबिलिटी तो कशात बघतो, त्या सँक्शन DPमध्ये बघतो किंवा त्या सँक्शन DCRमध्ये बघतो. मग असं का होतं हो की 4-5 वर्ष तो आपण वापरल्यानंतर कुठला तरी क्ष मनुष्य, म्हणजे अगदी मराठीतच सांगतो, क्ष म्हणजे क्षवरून क्षय पण असतो, त्याचा क्षय होतो त्या पूर्ण रेग्युलेशनचा. तर क्ष मनुष्य सांगतो की नाही हे बरोबर नाही, आणि त्याला आपल्या आदरणीय कोर्टामध्ये त्याला स्टे मिळतो, आणि तो स्टे दर 2 महिन्यांनी पुढच्या 2 महिन्यासाठी वाढतो. असं का होतं? म्हणजे मग ज्या कोणाला त्याच्याबद्दलचा व्यवसाय करायचा असेल त्यांनी ही प्रेडिक्टेबिलिटी केव्हा समजावी. त्याला हे सांगण्यात आलं होतं की ही सगळी प्रोसिजर केल्यानंतर जे होतं ते फायनल असतं. याबद्दल सर आपण नक्की आम्हाला थोडं समजून सांगावं, कारण मन बरंच दुःखी आहे. आमच्यापेक्षा तर ज्यांचे पैसे लागले आहेत त्यांचं जास्त दुःखी असेल. तर या कुठेही कुठल्याचे ऑथॉरिटीला चॅलेंज करण्याचा विषय नाही आहे, पण एक सामान्य माणूस म्हणून समजून घ्यायचं आहे की हे दुःख कधीतरी थांबेल का, किंवा त्याला काहीतरी सोल्युशन आहे का, आम्ही काहीतरी करू शकतो का त्यात, किंवा आपली मदतीने, असं तो एक मुद्दा होता. नंतर बरेचसे मुद्दे वैभव आपलं प्रदीप गांधी सरांना पण आम्ही विचारू, कारण त्यांचं इंटरॅक्शनमध्ये आम्ही करू की डीम्ड कन्व्हेन्सबद्दल खूप त्रास होतो. आम्हाला फार कमी माहिती आहे. मग आम्ही आमच्या क्लायंटला किंवा आमचा क्लायंट आमच्या सोसायटी पण असतात, खूप सोसायटी जागरूक झाल्या आहेत सेल्फ रिडेव्हलपमेंट किंवा आपल्या जुन्या झालेल्या वस्तूचं रिडेव्हलपमेंट करायचं असल्यामुळे. सो डीम्ड कन्व्हेन्स हा विषय येतो. माझ्या लँडचा मी दिलेला तुकडा, माझ्या हृदयाचा तुकडा मी दिलेला आहे, त्याचं मला इतक्या काय म्हणू आपण साध्या सरळ सोप्या मार्गाने माझं कौतुक होण्यापेक्षा मला प्रत्येक वेळेला कुर्बानी दिल्यासारखं का वाटावं, हे विषय लॉमध्ये कसे तुम्ही आम्हाला सोलेस करून देणार, सोलॅशियम तरी मिळावं, जरी पूर्ण नाही मिळाला. तर ह्याबद्दल सर तुम्ही आम्हाला नक्की गाईड करा. कदाचित माझ्यापेक्षा जास्त प्रश्न जे इथे बसले आहेत त्यांच्या मनात पण असतील. हे सगळे आम्ही तुमच्याकडे मांडू. तुम्ही त्यावर नक्कीच आम्हाला प्रकाश द्याल. यू विल गिव्ह अस दी नेसेसरी इन्फॉर्मेशन ॲज वेल ॲज नेसेसरी करेज either to face it, to bear it, or to find the solutions to it. So with that, I invite all three of you to have a transparent and as detailed you can guide us to guide us. एवढं बोलून माझे 2 शब्द संपवतो.
Thank you, President Sir. I now request our convener Shri Sukhatme ji to address the audience.
Very good evening to everyone. From convener's side, I apologize for delay, especially senior PIATA member who has scolded me. You write 5:30 and अभी तक 6:30 तक पब्लिक चाय पी रहा है उधर. तो मैं बोला अभी BMC में प्लान पास करके we have got habit of sustaining it, right? So डजेंट मैटर सर. एटलीस्ट सब इंजीनियर मिला, ये खुशी है आज एक सब इंजीनियर आज मिला करके वो खुश होकर चला गया. आज आई कुड सी हिम. तो दीज आर द सिचुएशंस ऑफ स्मॉल हैप्पीनेसेस वी कलेक्ट इन अप्रूवल प्रोसेस. आज एग्जीक्यूटिव इंजीनियर लिफ्ट में ऐसा जाते हुए मिला. वाह 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 क्या हुआ साहेब, दरवाजा खोलून परवा येऊ, मी परवा येऊ, तेरवा ये. बुधवारपासून मंडेचा डेट सुरू होते. मंडे अभी. ऑल ऑडियंस आई एम टेलिंग, बिफोर यू लिसन टू दिस 3 ब्रह्मा विष्णु महेश, यू ऑल हैव टू सस्टेन अस, राइट. हमको सुन के लेना जरूरी है. सस्टेनेबिलिटी इंक्रीजेस, राइट, बाय दैट वे. वी आर द जनरेशन हु हैव एंजॉयड गुड प्रैक्टिस विथ FSI 1 एंड 1.33 FSI. वो दिन थे जब IOD 7 कंडीशन की थी और लिफ्ट में CC साइन की जाती थी. दोज आर द डेज. सोन्याचा धूर वगैरह म्हणतो ना, 1 रुपया किलो सोना था, ऐसा सब वो दिन. IOD बादाम काजू दे के लिए मेरे एक आर्किटेक्ट ने बोले काजू बांट के निकला वो. सुनो, सी दोज आर द डेज. अभी देविल से की मी काजू तुला देतो, तू माझ्याकडे CCला येऊ नको. These are all the things change. As everything has changed, Sanjay ji, we talk of environment, we talk of so many other things, but still I remember learning I was learned in Marathi medium. एक मॅप मला आठवतो, मुंबई 7 बेटांची बनलेली आहे. 7 बेटं, बरोबर. 7 बेटांच्या मुंबईमध्ये किती मँग्रोव्ज होत्या. माटुंगा म्हणजे मातंग म्हणजे हत्ती. आता हत्तीसारखे बिल्डर आहेत माटुंग्याला मोठमोठे. वांद्रं दिसायची, आता एजंट दिसतात. PPT विकणारे, आणखीन TDR विकणारे असे एजंट, अशी वांद्रे. द थिंग्स हॅव चेंज टू सच अ लेवल. अर्बनायझेशन हॅज बिकम सो मच की आय डोंट नो. ज्याला FSI 4 दिला ती बिल्डिंग पण कधीतरी पडणार. सुखात्मे पण 70 वर्षाचा झाला ना, त्याला किती FSI देणार तुम्ही मग, आणि मग ते रिडेव्हलप कसं करणार, आणि त्याला परत फंजिबल कधी देणार. सी दीज आर ऑल क्वेश्चन्स बिचारे माझ्या छोट्याशा मेंदूमध्ये येतात. आणि मग ते काय रिडेव्हलपमेंट होणार आणि किती उंच बिल्डिंगी जाणार. आता बिल्डिंगची हाईट डेप्थमध्ये वाढते आहे. 5 बेसमेंट, 6 बेसमेंट, 7 बेसमेंट. These are the things which are happening. Where we are going to stop, or we are not going to stop at all, that is what is our worry. Now let's come to these 3 new people. Let me introduce what is PIATA. PIATA is, we are consultants. So grow your knowledge, meaning we are supposed to have already grown our knowledge, right? Still we want to grow our knowledge. Consultant is a person who gives a feasibility report, who make an attractive feasibility report showing कि ये प्लॉट में 250 करोड़ का तुमको फायदा है, and we have experts here. ते अजून फायदा कसा करून द्यायची कन्सल्टन्सी करतात. Just see that one brain, small brain of an architect who is controlling the multi-millionaire crorepati builder, and that is the importance of knowledge. There is nothing which can be compared with knowledge. Knowledge is the only medicine to remove the tension. If you have knowledge, basically, then you become humble. If you are humble, then your ego goes down. If your ego goes down, you become friendly to everyone. BMC officer पण आमचे मित्र असतात, बरोबर? If you are friendly, then you can do more business. And if you do more business, then you don't get happiness. Then you donate more to Piata. And then you become happy, right? So knowledge comes to happiness in this way. So knowledge is a catalyst. Piata is a crowd puller. On DCR, whenever then some new DCR comes, new section 20 section introduced किया. So Piata explained what is section 20 to the BMC officers. See, we are explaining them. But of course, very clearly as Shashi said, की सगळं काय सांगू नका त्यांना, नाही तर ते आपल्याच कडेवर बसतील नंतर. So हातचं राखून we teach them. But our study, our knowledge is always recognized. How many speakers we had on this platform? We had invited Nitin Pradhan, and he was supposed to be, in those days, known for taking criminal side. And whenever this used to happen, like compound wall padli, chhajja padla, सबसे first you arrest the architect, then you arrest the structural engineer. Police अंदर खलास. अभी after such 5-6 arrests have happened, if the building falls, underground हो जाता है architect, structural engineer underground, builder तो underground ही रहता है, वो सिम कार्ड बदली करते रहता है continuous, तो उसको underground होना नहीं पड़ता है. In such way, it was explained by, like he explained us how this is wrong, like you are just catching a professional just for sake of making a news that this building has fallen and architect is responsible. And how much is his responsibility? So Nitin Pradhan had come here. I remember very fluent when RERA was introduced. Parimal Shroff, we had invited him, and his lecture still I remember how spellbound he was talking, and absolutely he was, and he said, and which has come true, that even this RERA, which was being told as a big kind of a boxing gloves in the hand of consumers, now most of the builders have internalized the RERA. There are mediators, and mediators tell those aggrieved parties that look, अरे बिल्डर नहीं करेगा तो कौन करेगा, बिल्डर के साथ कराओ तुम, चलो do it, all that. This is so, as elevational features they have internalized. They have internalized RERA also. Then we have Vishwas Dikshit. He had come. I don't know how many of you know Vishwas Dikshit. He was that time commissioner and having anti-corruption. He retired as DG, but that time when he had come, he was in charge of anti-corruption department. Along with that, we had Nangre Patil also had come. Then on heritage seminar, we had invited Dr. Varsha Shirgaonkar. Snelata Deshmukh also, she has come here. And now we have Mr. Sanjay Deshmukh. So please give a long applause for him. the chancellors of Mumbai University, I can't say you have lowered down to us, but you have come to our fraternity who basically use knowledge for application and not for research. Nobody will do research in how the building is constructed. People will do effort कि IOD के बाद OC कैसा आएगा, correct? So we apply the knowledge basically. PIATA has done felicitation of students. PIATA has done felicitation of those officers. So I say those officers who are very popular, who sign in the lift lobby, who ask, I know some officers, त्यांनी वेषांतर करून they have come here in PIATA membership. They are such a good officers. They used to tell me, Sukhat मेरे तू याची CC का घेत नाहीस? He is telling me you take it. So there are some such officers in PIATA. In PIATA now, they are in PIATA, but they were in BMC. So we have felicitated them also. Our past president, who was twice, Sudhakar Dokne, he has written number of books on site supervision. Now his latest book on Seven Gorges, the largest water reservoir or largest dam which is constructed in China. So that book also PIATA is going to publish now. We are going to have lectures future by Bharat Gotoskar, who knows about the history of each and every building in Mumbai. Each building, its history, how it has changed. This building was originally what and now it has become what, and all that beautiful orator and Khaki Tours ka main person and the main convener of Kalagoda festival. He is also going to come. And these two speakers, what can I speak about these? Pradeep Gandhi, son of Dinesh Gandhi, right? He has ruled the corridors of court, your father. And now you have that kind of legacy. There was some case which I was discussing with him. He said, "Are to judge mala ghabarto." See, that is a thing like if judge starts trembling before some lawyer, he not trembles because of his size, but because of his knowledge, right? Am I right, sir? And yes. And Sanjay Kadam, I will not speak much about him. You just listen to him and his AK-47 machine gun. And with this introduction, now I end your wait for or curiosity for listen to the main speakers. Thank you, everyone.
Advocate Pradeep Gandhi sir, I request Vice President Shri Shashi Jadhav to felicitate Advocate Pradeep Gandhi sir. I would like to call upon Shri Suyog Seth sir, who is himself a highly acclaimed professional in our field. He, being a very good friend of Deshmukh sir, would like to intervene and take the opportunity to introduce Sanjay Deshmukh sir to all of us. Suyog Seth sir, please come.
Good evening, everybody. If I have to introduce Dr. Deshmukh today, in fact, my speech would be longer than his presentation here. Dr. Deshmukh was one of the youngest PhDs in life sciences, youngest VC of Mumbai University. He is head of life sciences at Mumbai University. He is adjunct professor at ICT. He has got so many degrees. He is an MSc, PhD. He is an LLB, LLM. He has got 2 DSCs, both honorary DSCs. He is fellow of so many research institutes. 12 people have done PhD under him, 4 postdoctoral scholars under him. There are more than 120 MSc students who have done MSc with research under him. So we have more than that, he is a world-renowned authority on mangroves. So whenever there is a any issue relating to wetlands or mangroves, he is consulted by World Bank, by UNESCO. He is a consultant to SIDCO. He is a consultant to UNDP. We all take pleasure in pride in the kind of practice that we have. But actually, if you see, the real wealth is in the knowledge. When you are one of the world-renowned authorities on the subject on which you have studied, and then you have one such world-renowned person amongst us, it's an honor for Pieta sir, as well as for all of us to listen to you. So without taking much time, I'll just introduce him for one more minute, because why is he important to Mumbai? Not only that he was a VC of Mumbai University, or he teaches at Mumbai University even today. He has done study of mangroves of entire MMR. And in fact, we all love to criticize BMC. There is one very, very interesting facet of what Municipal Corporation has done. Under his guidance, Mumbai Municipal Corporation has rejuvenated mangroves on 5 hectares of land at Vikroli. So Mumbai Municipal Corporation not only makes roads which have potholes, but also plants mangroves. So, and I'm sure none of the municipal corporations anywhere in the world would have taken such a gigantic task. It was for the first time in the world that somebody tried to plant mangroves. Mangroves cannot be planted; they grow naturally. This is what I learned from Dr. Deshmukh. So, but Mumbai Corporation has done it and done it successfully. There are satellite pictures to show that what was before and after kind of satellite pictures are available, and see, that is the depth of knowledge that you have. It's very easy to write papers. He has got 225 research publications to his credit, and be a armchair kind of a scholar. But he is somebody who will muddy his hands, go to the field, get the things done, and show the proof. So we are really honored, sir. Let's have and listen to Dr. Deshmukh. Thank you, sir.
Namaskar and good evening, everybody. Thank you, Suyog, for those wonderful and inspiring words. I always look at my own introduction as a third person, and I feel for a person like somebody who is a first generation doctoral person in the family, first generation boy who traveled by air, which is very rare because nowadays even at the birth also you can travel. But those days I was the first in the family, the first PhD holder and the first person to get into academics formally. And of course, I should not say, but a blessed person to be guardian of the oldest university of Mumbai. Today, I must thank both Suyog and Sukhatme sir for getting me here. And I have been hearing about this August association of some of the topmost class of professionals anywhere you can think of. And they are complemented or supplemented by academicians like us or lawyers like our two esteemed speakers who are going to speak today. And therefore a conglomeration like this is a very rare to experience, a very rare to talk to, and very rare to share with some of your experiences. From that perspective, I am humbled and I am really grateful for the opportunity. Dr. Swaminathan, the father of Green Revolution with whom I started my career, taught me one thing, that you should always travel by bus or by economy class train if you want to travel for your organization. And if somebody invites you, then you should politely say that the work at home is so much that if I am provided with economic class airfare, I would travel and come back soon for my work. And if the invitee conveys that they do not have funds, then that is a yardstick, not for them but for you, that you have not reached that level where people would like to save your time. It's not a question of inviting by air. And that is how I started my journey. And I'm very happy to share this one point before I start my presentation. That in the last 40 years of my professional association with different organizations, I have never spent a single rupee from the organization. But I have traveled in 57 countries, 81 times abroad, and more than 3,000 times by air. And hardly 15 times I would have spent my money because it was for personal work. And that is how I feel a person living in India, staying in India purposely to serve or to be with his parents so that he can try to give something back for what they have done to you. And remaining in our country, I think we can definitely be as happy as all of you are who decided to stay here and make your careers over here. And therefore, I feel very privileged to be part of your gathering. And today, of course, we have 3 speakers, including myself, and I do not know how much time I have, but I will try to be very brief as much as I can. But I would like to leave with all of you something which I have been working on for the last 7 days, since the time I was formally invited to share my experiences with you. And I have prepared a kind of a white paper or a policy paper which is about 70 pages, and this is pertaining to not only my talk but pertaining to what MMRDA or the state government or all of us should be facilitating with the help of government to come out with our own, I will not call them rules, but guidelines with which MMRDA can carry forward its mission for making life of everyone sustainable and happy. So this document I would like to give to the Honorable President of PIATA, and by tomorrow I will, with slight editing, share the PDF version with all of you. So it can be then sent to anybody if you wish to. Today, of course, I would like to formally start my speech by making or expressing gratitude to all of you, including our President of PIATA, and along with him, the Vice President, sir, is there, and of course, we have Joint Secretary, Treasurer, so Shri Shashikant Zadhav, sir, he is there. Then we have Suyog Sheth, Shri Nikhil Jadhav, our 2 eminent speakers, Shri Sukhatme sir, and all the eminent people in the gathering. I would like to begin with the experience of mine with MMRDA and how it all started. As Suyog mentioned about my work on mangroves, and I was working on Vikrori mangroves, one of the largest tracts of mangroves in the world, particularly privately owned, and it is under the ownership of Sunabai Pirocha Godrej Foundation. The foundation which granted me my scholarship for PhD not only helped me in achieving my goal of getting a formal degree, but gave me an exposure which I started with my own intuition and initiative of traveling entire coastline of our country. And on motorcycle, I traveled almost 125,000 kilometers during my PhD. I did not have a motorcycle of my own. I used to borrow. But from Thane to Vikroli, I used to go on bicycle, and I had rented a canoe from a fisherman in Vikroli. And he used to tell me whenever the canoe is parked, you can take it and go in the creek. But whenever it is not there, that means I am fishing. So I have learned canoeing, cycling, more than 50,000 kilometers I bicycled during those 4 years of my PhD. But what is more important is the time when I was talking about restoration of barren areas, mapping of mangroves, ecological studies, developing nurseries for plantation, and collecting species of mangroves from different parts of city of Mumbai, state, and different parts of the country. It was indirectly a collection of genetic resources of those unique plants called mangroves, which are a community of plants which are grown in the intertidal region where the tidal water comes and goes. And they have a unique character of withstanding the intrusion of seawater and withstanding the salinity of seawater. So these are those genes which are responsible for them to survive in the saline habitats. And there are only 97 species of plants, ferns, climbers, and also palms. There is a palm called, in Sundarban you find it quite a lot in number. It is called Nipa palm. It has got only fronds, it doesn't have a stem like coconut. And those fronds can grow up to a height of 75-80 feet. So these mangroves are very unique plants. And when on 14th of January 1988, Dr. M.S. Swaminathan visited Vikroli, he was the president of WWF India and Sorabji Godrej was vice president. He saw that work and he said, Are you are preserving genetic resources of mangroves and we should work on this, where the identification of candidate genes from these plants will help the humanity or scientists to transfer those genes and make the plants from the non-saline habitats survive when we will experience sea level rise due to the climate change. And that was the time when nobody was talking about climate change or sea level rise, 1988. And it has become reality. 15 years after that, of course, I joined him, started my career with him and spent 5 years. But 12 years after that, the team which I led initially for 5 years, they came out with identification of those genes from mangroves and they made the normal rice survive or grow in the seawater at Kalpakam with the same yield. So that is what is the uniqueness of our scientists, our visionary policymakers who thought of such initiative when nobody was talking about it. And mangroves have become not only savior for those who stay along the coastal areas, but also a problem for those who do understand their importance, but their probably appearance in non-existent areas where there was no salinity, but they suddenly appear over there due to some anthropogenic changes or the city development that we talk about. I think these are the species which can, make or break the people who would like to stay in the coastal areas. And I was very fortunate to get that exposure, and I have been able to talk about development along with conservation. I don't talk about only conservation because I have learned that development is possible and it can go hand in hand with conservation. MMRDA and SIDCO, of course, the new international airport, I was fortunate to prepare the AIA for that. I was also member of the Special Planning Authority of Lavasa for 10 years for particularly environment management and development of development control regulations. Some of these experiences and traveling abroad has given me a different insight of how to look at our city's development. The city, which is hardly 604 square kilometer in area, because it's an island city even today. And we have more than 2.5 crores officially, the population. So 50,000 plus people per square kilometer of our land. And in the adjoining Dharavi area, which is hardly 1.5 square kilometer, we have about 8 lakh 800,000 people residing. So one can only imagine the density of population, and a very unique situation of our mega city like Mumbai is 1/6 of its geographical area is Sanjay Gandhi National Park, which is very unique. It is not possible anywhere in the world. 1/6 of our geographical area is a protected area. But despite that, when we talk about development of a city, then there are a lot of activities happen. MMRDA, for example, wanted to lay the line of railway from Thane to Belapur. And at that time, whatever changes that took place by way of filling of the land and other activities, mangroves started appearing in the areas where nobody could dream or imagine. And in that way, entire Palm Beach Road, the opposite side of Palm Beach Road, which was a mud flat, got suddenly converted into mangroves. And more than 100 societies which were given permission to go for construction. After construction, the mangroves started appearing within the vicinity of those buildings, and they could never get occupation certificate, where the families had already occupied the houses in Navi Mumbai. So these are some of the issues where mangroves can be looked at more scientifically, and I had a privilege of pleading this in front of Shri Mohit Shah, Honorable Chief Justice those days of the Honorable Bombay High Court. And I pleaded for mangroves as well as for the policy makers who have been planning the city or cities meticulously without disturbing the environment. But however, due to the development, if such things happen, then how do we look at it? Whether we should go for the sacrosanct line of 1991, where the highest high tide line was defined, and beyond 500 meters beyond that was the sacrosanct line which was laid, where no construction was permitted. However, now there are at least 23 amendments to the CRZ regulation till last year, and every time there is a change, and the latest is like 5 ppm. If you find salinity level, then even the soil without mangrove can be under CRZ. So I think these are some of the issues, and for every one of you at some point of the time in your careers, you would have come across designing a structure or modifying a structure or working in an area which was in the vicinity of coastal zone regulation or part of it. And how do we really tackle that? We have certain examples of cities within mangroves like Florida or Abu Dhabi. This is a presentation which I had done for CIDCO, and I'm just trying to show some slides, after which I will come to my actual presentation. But here you can see the accretion where it is taking place and sedimentation. Where sedimentation is there, you have mangroves, and where accretion is there, there is only a mud flat, because the tidal water with a natural force is going to remove the soil from that part, and there will not be a mud flat creation where you can expect a growth of mangroves. And therefore, barring some areas where the regular mangrove management has been taken place, or the area about which Suyog mentioned in Vikhroli, in fact, during those days I was very fortunate to get that opportunity to provide inputs to BMC or MCGM, what we call it now, to undertake a compensatory mangrove plantation for displacement of 200 hectares of mangroves for want of construction of aerated lagoons. And compensation was 2 times more. So instead of that 5 hectares which Suyog mentioned due to oversight, it was almost 500 hectares that was actually planted, and more than 100 hectares in the Vikhroli mangrove area, which was a protected land. But there were some barren areas, mud flats, which were then converted into mangroves. So these are some of the issues which we will have to look at and enlighten our policy makers or decision makers, or particularly politicians, because anything in the world has to happen. If it has to happen, there has to be a political will. And I am talking in a positive sense. Unless we really make them aware, we will not be in a position to have a breakthrough, because we are not talking about doing something illogical or against the rules or against law. We are talking about logically putting forth the case, and these are very clear-cut examples where they also do have areas which can be protected within the CRZ, but the limit of that from the coastal areas is different in different countries. Next slide, please. I will not get into the details about coastal zone boundary because that is not the purview of our discussion today. But I was just trying to show those photographs, that particular single photo which I tried to show. But the aerated lagoons which were developed and designed by SIDCO for storage of water, which is a runoff from the landward side at the time of when it is raining or when there is a high tide, these huge holding ponds have now been taken over by mangroves because of the wrong way in which we have looked at this entire issue. And the entire Navi Mumbai has a major issue in this particular case. And these are some of the photographs where the breaking of the bunds or removal of the sluice gates by fishermen for fishing have really led to conversion of these ponds into mangrove areas, and this is how the entire mangrove forest has been created. But these are mangroves which are not in the coastal side of the city of Mumbai or Navi Mumbai. They are inland mangroves. And based on a clear-cut scientific distinction between inland and coastal mangroves, where after 91, if there is an invasion of any species from the coastal areas, then it is not as per the earlier rules where anything beyond 500 meters is permissible for construction. But now these invaded areas call for an attention and scientific intervention, which we are working on, where almost, that sacrosanct line, if you move that line as per the 5 PPT, then SIDCO is likely to, or rather likely to lose 1240 hectares of land. And the cost of that could be about 55,000 crores. And this is just one example. And I'm not talking about only Mumbai or Navi Mumbai, but the entire coastline of our country, 8,000 kilometers. The entire country can benefit if you look at it site specific. It is not that just you draw one line and that is applicable everywhere. In Mumbai, for example, if you draw the line, then 1/4 of the city will have to be evacuated if you don't want any construction along the coast. So that is how this particular issue I just wanted to raise. आपण ते दुसरं presentation चालू करूया का? About any development for the city of Mumbai or Navi Mumbai, the MMR region also has grown than what it was in 90s, because it was only up to Vaitarna. Now it has gone beyond on the eastern side and also down south. So those it was about 3,340 square kilometers. The title which I chose for this particular discussion, of course I'll be very brief, maybe about 10 to 12 minutes from now, I would like to wind up. But the cars, creeks and concrete balancing urban development with ecological resilience in Mumbai. Of course, I'm talking about entire MMR. And I have just tried to, take help of AI and create these sketches which are relevant to the content of that particular slide. And this particular document that I'm talking about, because I thought this is a very important opportunity for me to come out with something in writing which can be shared with all of you. And based on that, there could be a lot of discussion taking place, a lot of influences on upon the government to take up certain issues which are probably not spelt out in a clear-cut manner. And it can be also a guideline for development of the entire region by designing our own development control regulations in addition to what are prevalent, and they can be complemented by some of those which are absolutely necessary. And therefore, this is how the rationale of this particular presentation I thought I should highlight. There are 3 aspects: car, and then concrete, and also creeks, because the city of Mumbai is a conglomeration of 7 islands, and still it is an island city. And therefore, when we talk about doing any kind of modification with respect to building bridges or flyovers, the number of vehicles are not going to decrease. At the same time, the number of vehicles on the road are also not going to decrease. And therefore, within the limit of this 504 square kilometer, in addition to the population that we have, how many more projects are going to be operational, how many of them are going to be useful, and whether there will be any opportunity for us to expand the scope of our development beyond what we are talking about playing within the landward side. And that is how probably the government has come out with the Eastern Freeway and the coastal stretches of western side of city of Mumbai. And transportation is of course a major problem or major issue which can lead to pollution, about which there was a mention by Shri Nikhil Jadhav initially during his introduction. And I think this network needs to be rectified in such a manner, as all of us are aware, that there should be less and less amount of repair and more amount of construction of new roads wherever possible, or strengthening of those which are not concrete or which are not permanent in that sense. They will have to be rectified in a manner where the expansion of infrastructure will have to be revolving about around this particular aspect. And the mobility solutions also will have to be found out with respect to multimodal transport or electric vehicle adoption. But they are some of the limitations of the city with respect to the amount of people which travel every day, which commute from one place to other. And therefore, when we talk about metro or monorail or any electric vehicle for that matter, then the number of those vehicles or modes of transport are not really going to contribute to meeting the requirements of the entire population. So that is also one of the major challenges that we will have to look at. The creeks, of course, we have largest tracts of mangroves on the eastern side. The other part of the Thane Creek is now almost inhabited, and very few patches of mangroves are left. And of course, there are so many important aspects of mangroves about which I spoke initially, and they are the barriers between land and sea, and their own survival is very important for the survival of the city. Now the city of Mumbai is hardly going to get any problem or stroke of tsunami as far as its geological location is concerned. But if it happens, then of course 1/4 of the city will have to be evacuated. And during a study of NIRI about 20 years ago, they had estimated about 88,000 crores of worth of property or wealth is going to be lost because of that 25% of submersions if there is any hit of tsunami, or even the sea level rise and the level of sea is going to rise by few centimeters or up to few meters. And therefore, the strategies for conservation which have been, of course, planned by people like SIDCO when the new international airport was proposed as early as in 1971 when the city of Navi Mumbai was designed. The area was earmarked for the airport, and therefore the special category approval was given by the central government in 2001, where it was called as CRZ will be applied to all the areas except for the Greenfield Airport of Navi Mumbai, because it was by that time, after 1991, the entire area which was without any mangrove, then it got submerged already, and 165 hectares of mangroves, they were going to be displaced for construction of the Navi Mumbai International Airport. So there are ways in which you can look at the development control regulations as well as some of the ecological issues that may arise out of the policies. We can definitely look at the solutions with respect to undertaking plantations or developing some new areas in some other location. But of course, the major objective of cities development has to be a level of comfort for both nature and the man. And of course, the concrete, the vanishing natural ecosystem is one of the outcomes of that. But there are many other effects like urban heat island effect or the issues of flooding and drainage. The Navi Mumbai sewage disposal project, when it actually commenced in 1989, I think it was designed, and then it commenced in 1997-98. So it was designed for a particular number of people or population so that the sewage from that region can be treated. But by the time it got operationalized, I think the requirement of sewage disposal project had gone up actually, and 30% more facilities were required. But we were not in a position to design that because of the permissions for all these things took so much time that by the time we operationalized, most of the sewage was still untreated. And even in the Thane Creek, even today, about I think 40% of Thane city sewage is partially or not treated before it is released in the nearby water bodies. So that is how the major problems, without planning or without easy decisions or quick decisions, a lot of issues can arise. The case studies of different countries I have highlighted in this paper, which I'm going to share with you. So I will not talk much about it. But the metro and coastal road projects have been critically assessed, but because of the dilemma between the different ruling parties, I think the project has not taken that much speed, and because of that there are a lot of economic implications and which will have to be addressed, which are basically the initiatives at the large scale level. They will have to be really addressed in a proper manner and in a timely manner. The mangrove destruction and restoration efforts are definitely there, but they have to be organized so that whatever we plant or whatever we commit is actually implemented after the project starts. Otherwise, today we get approval by giving a lot of commitments, and we are not in a position to meet those requirements, and there is no follow-up with respect to monitoring of what is happening. So these are some of the issues which also will have to be looked at. The best practices I have mentioned in the document that I have prepared, but we can learn lessons from cities such as Singapore, where the integrated urban water management is very well done. Then Amsterdam, where sustainable transport networks. In fact, we had the Dutch model when we thought of developing the city of Navi Mumbai, where the level of the land or ground level was below the sea level in some parts of Navi Mumbai. But we adopted that Dutch model and we made use of those natural bunds or artificial bunds which were already there, which were preventing the highest high tide from coming from coastal areas into the landward side. And based on that model, we developed the entire city. But at that time, of course, the CRZ regulation was not there. And because of that, the loopholes in some of the bunds, I think they led to a lot of policy issues with respect to CRZ. And therefore, besides Amsterdam, New York, and many other cities like that, they can guide MMRDA with respect to the development. The fourth chapter in this particular document, I have mentioned about policy and planning recommendations and how we can look at strengthening the environmental regulations. So we'll have to really reinforce CRZ compliances to safeguard ecologically sensitive areas from unregulated development. And we will have to also look at the environmental impact assessment, which will ensure that any project that is sanctioned will follow certain guidelines with respect to monitoring the efforts that are going to go with respect to meeting the requirements of compensating for the loss of some of the environment. And of course, the other infrastructure projects which are underway in the non-coastal areas, they have their own relatively easy development control regulations. But in the coastal areas, as per the different locations, the rules and the decisions always vary. So that is one thing which will have to be regulated in a proper way for the city of Mumbai. So the integrated urban planning for MMR is also there, but it needs to be looked upon from the various angles of environment and sustainable development. And therefore, when we are talking about transit-oriented development, then we will have to look at dependency of motorized vehicles and making use of more and more public vehicles for transportation, which seems to be very difficult in today's context. But we will have to be looking at developing some guidelines when we talk about expanding the scope of our development. And maybe at some point in time in the northern part of Navi, Palghar district particularly, I think the third Navi Mumbai can also be planned, and that is what I feel is only the solution for accommodating more and more people who are flocking towards the city of Mumbai for their livelihoods. And therefore, I think we will have to also look at the community involvement. Their decision about any developmental project. Normally what happens is we impose our decisions and we are not even sure what the local people require. And if you are able to take help of their mindset and their requirement, I think then the things will be much easier with respect to meeting these challenges. This is my second last slide, the roadmap for MMR sustainable future. And of course, the sketch is basically an attempt to show that there will be an integrated approach in both conservation and development. And the city's skyline, though will look very beautiful, but some of the other surrounding areas also will be much better place to live for people who are considered as common man. And therefore, the recommendations that I have tried to give in this document are on the 4 points that I would like to read, and it's a roadmap for comprehensive guidelines for Navi Mumbai or MMR sustainable future. And 4 points that I would like to highlight here are integrated and climate resilient urban planning, sustainable infrastructure and smart mobility, community engagement and inclusive governance, and environmental conservation and green growth. The time available for talking about this is of course sufficient to complete your slides, but the discussion and the components that I have tried to highlight are given in this 70-page document, and I'll be very happy to have your observations and comments on that. And I would like to thank all of you for allowing me to come here and share some of my experiences and give you some kind of directives with respect to what needs to be done. And it has been spelled out in this particular document, I think, which will be very useful. Otherwise, what happens is we speak and then we go back and there is no takeaway. So I thought, and I have been doing that wherever I go for any talk, I go with preparation of a particular document related to my talk, and it is very useful for my own learning. So thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity. And I once again thank Suyog and Sukhatme sir for inviting me here. And I'll be very happy. I am just close by in Mumbai University in Kalina. So wherever there is any requirement of any input, I think I'll be very much happy to be available for all of you. Thank you very much.
Change in the pattern we are doing the thing. Followed by each speaker's presentation, we encourage audience members to address any questions that they might have, the interaction. So immediately after the presentation, that would be more helpful. So if anybody has questions, yeah, do we have a mic?
Hello. Sir, you talked about TOD, Transport-Oriented Development. Now Bombay, they have come with the regulation 3323, I think. And you try to balance with the ecological balance. Right. But in TOD in Bombay, it's totally urbanization. It's going toward urbanization, having more FSI. Yes. So how it is going to be balanced with the ecological factors? We have to create plantation. So where we have to come with a solution. How can, if not a horizontal plantation, some horizontal plantation?
Yeah, basically, if you ask me honestly, we have really gone beyond repair with respect to bringing back that ecology to its original status. However, while saying that, I also firmly believe that if you are able to save whatever we are left with, particularly the lungs of the city, our entire Borivali National Park or Sanjay Gandhi National Park is 1/6 of our geographical area. If you are able to sustain that properly, then that is one of the major source of carbon sink. It is called carbon sequestration. So more and more plants which are there, if they are able to survive and if they are able to grow in numbers, in diversity, then it is possible that we are able to provide that required oxygen as well as sequestration of carbon, which happens because of the plantation. But of course, in addition to that, the largest sequesters of carbon dioxide are bamboo. And bamboo are basically grass. They are not trees or plants. So grass species, they don't come in the purview of extraction, even if you grow them. So there are many open spaces where if you are able to go for plantation wherever it is permissible and possible, then the major problem of the city is of course going to be the pollution. There are plants which are absorbents of air pollutants, and there are studies as early as in 1980s and 90s where Professor Safekar, my own PhD supervisor, was one of the pioneers in recommending species of plants which could be planted in specific areas for combating the air pollution. In fact, along the highway, along the major roads, if you are able to identify those species, then they are not only absorbent of air pollutants or different gases, but also dust. So there are certain plants where the leaf structure is such that you are able to minimize the impact of whatever air pollution we have. And therefore, as you rightly said, that the vertical growth of vegetation is utmost important. But again, we will have to create those facilities and policies will have to be defined. But whatever open spaces we have, if we are able to really concentrate on them and protect them and nurture them, then I think that will also resolve the issue to some extent.
No, my question was totally different. The open spaces, they are already there as present as a lung in the city. But when you are connecting with the TOD,
Yes,
so totally the rule is connected with the metro lines and the mono line.
correct.
So where there is no lungs available, all buildings around. So how we are going to balance? We need to balance, and what only answer remains is the vertical.
I agree with you, but vertical vegetation, there are certain ways of growing vertically, like various gardens are also planned in the
Yeah.
vertical manner. But ultimately, the issue comes down to absorbance of carbon dioxide and major pollutants.
Yeah.
And from that perspective, only the tree species are going to be the solution to the city. So when you are talking about any development, any road construction, if you are able to have a buffer of
Yeah.
certain land where the plantation can be taken, and that is how the resolution of such issues can be done. But otherwise, as you rightly put it, for these major projects, there is hardly any possibility that we can come out with a site-specific solution to tackle this issue.
There's something policy has to be made, like in a
Yes.
road, between roads we have a
Yes.
divider, there you can grow.
Exactly.
But in a like metro lines or mono lines,
Yes.
edges, boundaries of this, they can be have some with planters. They're all
Yes.
around the planters can go.
In fact, there was an experiment in 1986 when the Kemp's Corner flyover
Yeah.
was used by Godrej family, Godrej company. They had planted
All around, right?
all, they had hung the baskets and the plants were grown there. So from that perspective, it is possible, but ultimately the issue will be mainly to look at reducing the pressure of pollution. And from that perspective, we'll have to go for only tree species.
Okay. Thank you.
Sir, I have one question. As respect to all these two parameters, pollution control and all other things, nowadays, because of this space constraint, we have gardens on the podium or gardens on the terrace.
Yes.
Can there be some spaces developed on those gardens which will serve the purpose, and how will they suffice?
Yeah, basically if you got larger spaces on the podium, then even the tree species can be grown in huge pots and they can definitely serve the purpose. But again, the selection of species, not just ornamental, but based on their ability to absorb dust or absorb different gases which are emitted, I think that should be the priority. And I'm sure we have enough number of experts who can advise before you go for any such activity or planning, and these species can also be planted.
There are two aspects which we all are facing. One is there is a modification to the Tree Act where it is said that the number of trees to be replanted equal to the age of the tree. Now what happens is, if you are blessed with one tree which is about 100 years old in your plot of 1000 square meters, to plant 100 trees, so that means you cannot make a building at all. So, and then it is said that now you can plant somewhere else. Today it has reached a stage where the garden department is saying we have no more space available. So because already the metro, so many trees are cut, they all are trying to plant within Mumbai municipal gardens. So how to tackle that, number one. And second aspect which we all will face sooner or later is all the salt pan lands are now proposed to be open for redevelopment. So what are the aspects which will this development affect them? Because I see only the mangroves thriving on the eastern coast, and most of the salt pan lands are on the eastern coast, almost all of them. So what will be the effect on the mangrove diversity of opening the salt pan lands, or can it be done in a controlled manner? So these are the two aspects. I think if you could enlighten us, that would be great.
The compensated plantation for want of going for new construction is a major issue, and there are not many open spaces which even the philanthropists would like to offer for plantation. For example, in the Mumbai University's premises, we used to receive a lot of requests from NGOs that you have got so much of land, and then we would like to plant free of cost. But I used to tell them, and it was a fact, that the cost of 1 acre is 500 crores in that area. If I allow somebody to plant 10 acres free of cost, then I'm losing 5,000 crores. And we are owners of Mumbai University's land. We are not just custodians. It's not on lease. We have the ownership of that. And we have already lost so much of land for want of city's requirement, and rightly so. But there was no compensation given to the university. In fact, with due respect, Honorable Bombay High Court, after visiting during my tenure, I almost spent 2.5 hours to not plead in legal language, but to convince the entire team, including the Honorable Chief Justice and the Bar Council of India's President and about 8 judges who had come to inspect. Okay, where is the 30 acre that we can identify within your 250 acres? And I pleaded successfully that, we are left with only this much heritage and for a master plan of Mumbai University for vertical development. So it will be useful to think of MMR or the Bandra colony. And finally, Honorable High Court agreed, and they have now been given the land within the Bandra government colony for shifting the Bombay High Court and its residential premises. So from that perspective, what I'm trying to say is, coming back to CEO, the plants which are existing and then they are probably with that condition, construction is allowed, it is practically difficult to replant each and every plant which is grown up to a size or age, it has reached an age. And therefore, for cities like Mumbai, a different approach will have to be undertaken. I will give you an example of Gujarat, where there are a lot of barren areas along the coast. And since the gradient of land is also very low, there is a lot of opportunity for planting mangroves over there. And therefore, for any industry which was going to have this issue, even in the landward side, the government of Gujarat had given them a kind of facility of compensating whatever loss we have in any part of Gujarat state. And that is how a lot of plantation took place of mangroves, of course. And they were able to at least have 5% of increase within 10 years in the mangrove cover. So from that perspective, some guidelines will have to be framed for MMR, taking into account this aspect. And the second question that you had asked for is Eastern suburb. Now the 99-year lease of salt pans is already over, and that is proposed to be used for non-salt production purposes. I think a buffer zone of at least about 500 meters or about a kilometer, if it is kept, and then the development is proposed, like the photographs which I showed you in Abu Dhabi, I think there could be an opportunity to protect our coastline as well as go for a development. However, any open area just for development also is not a solution. And therefore, that also will have to be looked into when we talk about any development for the city of Mumbai or MMR. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for opening your eyes to our totally new concept.
We now move on to the next presentation. Our esteemed speaker is Advocate Sanjay Kadamji. He is probably Pieta's favorite advocate. He is a senior and knowledgeable advocate practicing in Mumbai. He is familiar with Pieta as an expert. He has been with us for previous seminars and webinars as well. Shri Kadam has expertise in MRTP Act, MADA Acts, Slum Act, MLRC Code, DC regulations. He also handles copyright matters, intellectual property matters, and RERA related matters. One interesting case he had fought, which we can relate to, is the case against BMC for the high premiums charged, and then BMC or the government had to change the MRTP Act with retrospective effect. He speaks with authority on various matters and challenges the status quo, stating various relevant judgments. Today, he is covering the landmark judgments related to real estate land matters. I welcome you, sir, to please address the audience.
Good evening, everybody. Honorable President Sukhatme Sahib, Jadhav Sahib, and esteemed Dr. Deshmukh, my learned brother Pradeep, I will say Pradeep, and all present here. Good evening. As you say correctly, that I am the continuous member of the theatre. Then Sukhatme sir had called me and he told me that you required that. Well, it means that you did not got any particular speaker. Therefore, you are falling to me. Because asking me be there within 24 hours or 48 hours, I thought that. Then he said that you are घर का आदमी है, घर के आदमी को कभी भी बुला सकता है. As usual, he is particular for interview. Well, okay, does not matter. I will definitely come. Because the Pieta is considered to be as my second home. Let me put it that way. Here, the professionals come together. That's what I consider. Professionals means a discipline in the life with some accommodation for the benefit of the society. And Sukhatme sir had said this is a knowledge lecture. Knowledge and ignorance go hand in hand together. Always. Till the time I heard him, I was considered to be expert in this particular environment. When I listened him, I realized how ignorant, rather I can say, even a KG I was. Therefore I say the knowledge and ignorance go hand in hand together. As far as the sustainability is concerned, which is say that is a sustainable development, sustainability starts from the home itself. I will give one small illustration. My father-in-law came at my residence a few years back, and my wife started, as usual, scolding me left, right, and center, talking something which otherwise would have not been good on her part in front of her father to tell me. I was calm, cool, sustainable. Put it that way. And ultimately my father-in-law intervened and he said, Sanya, अरे तुझी बायको तुला एवढी बोलते तू काय बोलतच नाहीस? I can only speak where the fee is being paid. Not free advice. Sustainability comes from there. So that sustained development is going like that. And the net friend had said that Suyo was a very good friend of mine. He said that tree plantation, that is one of the very, very crucial issues. In one of my particular clients, there is a 300 square meter plot in Shivaji Park. One tree was there, which was a 47-year-old. Permission was granted to plant 87 trees. Now when permission was granted, told to plant 87 trees, he says, sir, what to do? We wrote a letter to the tree authority saying that we are coming with 87 trees. Kindly identify the area where we can plant it. They said that you have to plant in your particular area. your particular plot. We say that the permission does not say plant in my plot. You say the plant. The wording is that you have to plant the tree. They say that it is presumed to be, or not presumed to be. It is rationally and logically required to be treated into that. In a 300 square meter plot, if you are going to plant 87 trees, I will require at least 1000 square meter plot. Therefore, your NOC, what you are given to plant the tree, does not necessarily mean plant the tree in the plot anywhere. And he said that it can't be. Well, yes, it can be made a representation. And we took that 87 and planted into Shivaji Park. Took the photos and submitted to him with affidavit. He said that very well, I will take it, but don't take this as a landmark, as a benchmark or precedent. It has been granted. So somewhere we have to relate this particular law to the human aspect to make a development. That is what Dr. Deshmukh had said. Sustainability and this particular development has to go hand in hand together. We have to read the law as per the requirement of the human being need. Law is made for us. We are not made for law. So if that law is not going to have my particular feeling as a human being into that, then it is our duty to put that particular life into that particular words to give the meaning thereto. And therefore the latest judgment which has been come on that particular TDR, Purnima Theatre, Dahan, whereby the government wanted to, and they did high-handedly demolish that particular wall without taking a recourse of 126A, B, and directly saying, no, we require this particular land. For what? For the purpose of so-called development. But at whose cost? At the cost of the person, citizen, who is the owner of the land. Under Article 308, you cannot take away that particular right so drastically. And if you want to take a land, then make a provision. What is that provision? Provision 126A talks about that either by agreement. You agree and take with me, or if you are not agree to give the money to me, then very well to make that particular valuation and give the FSI or TDR in the manner equivalent to that value. But it is to be in consensus, agreement. It can't be unilaterally. And third then comes the Act, Fair Act 2003. But that said nothing doing. And the trial court rejected. He ultimately came in the writ. The writ court held it. Option is with the person who is going to deprive his land. And they say that yes, you can thrust upon him the TDR. You give him the valuation. You give the market valuation, which otherwise you are entitled in law because you are taking it. It is as Ishori Sahib said, Kajaza Tugda. That is what you use the word Kajaza. Yes, you are taking my land. And my land means I am a owner of that land. I am entitled to use, have entire potential. And sometime invariably, you have said so. What takes some different view? And by virtue of different view, there are certain things which come into the way. The latest judgment of the environment assessment, which the Bhopal Tribunal has taken the clue from the Kerala High Court judgment saying that earlier particular notification was incorrect and therefore the Bhopal Tribunal says it is correct and they granted a stay from August 4, 2024, whereby the building operations, which is more than the 1500 square meter, 15,000 square meter above is required to have either the permission from the state or from the center. Today we are in March 25. The entire development as for coming within the purview of this area has been standstill completely. How much crores of rupees we have lost it? Completely. And it was then realized by the central government and the CREDAI and the Machis and everybody made a representation and the central government came with the notification on the 30th of January 2025 making a relaxation to that. That is the general category. So at least the state government authority, environment authority can release that particular. Within 1 week there was a stay by One Shakti. So where that particular money Because if any particular financer, builder who put the money, he take the money from the market and accordingly put his particular money, ultimately what he get? Sustainable development does not necessarily mean in the infrastructure. Sustainable development means the development of the human being too. Rather, that is important. Living, making more healthier, meaningful, then only it is sustainable development. Take the illustration of this 33-7 which my learned friend is going to speak about that. There are 19,687 sales building in the island of city. It is a very unique feature of the city of Mumbai. Last 2.5 decades, not even a 10% of that has been developed. Despite of the so-called incentive which are given 2, 225, 225 to 3. Sometimes the policy maker who make the policy, they I think consider themselves as not from this ground reality but some other realities of the life. And they trust that particular policy for the different. As far as the BMC, I must congratulate for the BMC which the Suyog has said. The first time I heard about that particular mangrove of the 500 hectares, really this is the first only good thing I have heard about the BMC in entire my life. Really, it's a good. Otherwise, the BMC, I've seen the architect, which the Sukatmes was saying. The way they interpret the law, which we never also thought in our mind. Honestly speaking, they make their own particular law and circulate in such a way that you will not get anything there. Anything. So also there is another aspect. I am just giving a general talk. Architect, they are the professionals. One of the particular case which came to me, there are two architects who came to me. They were named as the opposite party, rather the so-called co-accused in RERA for the sin or whatever the damage done by the builder. And the RERA authority then was the chairman, earlier particular chairman of the RERA, issued the summons to him to remain present. I said that particular, how it could be for professional. We are professional. He is my professional brother. He is an architect. RERA itself is applicable only to the real estate agent, promoter and allotee. These are the only three people are subject to the RERA. You can't put into this professional for so-called alleged involvement of him with that particular builder, which may be there, which may not be there. But you cannot bring within the ambit of RERA to him. He says, no, he is their culprit. Very well, I will argue the matter. Is there give a written submission? When I will give a written submission, but you have to give an order. When I gave the written submission with all this particular detail, he said that sorry, you are what to say is right. He is not required to be party. Because he realized the difficulty giving the order, because the law does not apply to architect of the RERA. If I have done something wrong, my counsel is there. Like we as an advocate, if we commit any particular mistake unintentionally, our bar counsel is there. You can complain to bar counsel. Bar counsel will take action against me. But not the RERA authority. I told him that today you are roping the architect, tomorrow we will rope in RCC consultant, then chartered accountant, then cost accountant, then the lawyer, then the solicitor, then everybody will come before the RERA. RERA is not meant for that. Regulatory regime does not have power to penalize the person who does not come within the ambit of them. That's the basic concept of the law. And therefore, if you try to take in this particular fashion, the court says sorry, it can't. Now the Supreme Court, which I was talking with the Mohta Sahab, Supreme Court has given a guideline how that particular unauthorized development can be looked into. So they have given the guidelines. If there is unauthorized development in that event, then you have to
first give a notice. It's a basic element of law. You have to first give notice. The notice does not mean a notice to, if I wanted to give a notice to the Pradeep, then I cannot give it a notice to the Isore sir. Showing on the paper that I have given a notice, but notice to the person who is aggrieved. It can't be somebody else. And notice means notice should detail all the cause, all the point for the purpose which has been given. if the notice is for unauthorized development, then you have to mention what is that unauthorized development. You cannot say that I have given a notice. No. Supreme Court says notice with all the detail. That is one parameter. Once you give a notice, then in that event, you have to give them opportunity to give his particular response. After that response, you have to give the hearing to him. That is the third step. After hearing, you have to pass a reason order. They have given a format also, the reason. In what way the format? In 2024 judgment. This way you have to give a reason order. After giving a reason order, you have to give him a 15 days time to test it, that order with the authority. With whatever the authority. And after that, once, if at all he lose there, then still 15 days time to him. Day before yesterday, the corporation has bring that particular policy for that anidhikrut bankamacha baptit. It is a departure from this. So now Supreme Court gave the directions under 142 is become a law of the land. But now the corporation has said that very well we will deal it, but 18% interest, premium, penalty. From where you got it? There is also, I'm just talking generally. See, now the corporation, Ishwar Sahab, sorry, though you are having that affairs with these previous organization, still. Yeah? See, MRTP gives the power to the planning authority to plan the city in a manner provided thereto. They give the permission under 45, then the 47, then appeal and everything. That is, so if there is a development permission, and during a process of my development permission, there is a deviation there too, then you can invoke that particular MRTP, and then you can pursue under 53, coupled with the 55, and take actions. But once you get the occupation certificate, development come to an end. If you want to make an addition, corporation in their particular Corporation Act, there is a chapter 12, which run from 337 to I think 354. Now 354 AAA has gone up to that extent. We say that if there is addition or alteration, then you have to make an application under 342 to the corporation. Corporation then look into that and then give you approval. But while doing that particular, once you get that approval and you implement the work, and that officer feel that what work we have done it is not in pursuance of that approval, there is a fallout is 351, then followed in 344. So there is a mechanism provided as far as the amendment is concerned under the BMC Act itself. If that mechanism is provided under the BMC Act itself, corporation, what does it do? They invoke MRTP. This is a big flaw. Reason is, if you give me a permission by invoking a certain specific act, and in that act there is a consequences provided therein, then you have to follow that consequences. You cannot switch over to another act and then initiate the proceeding. Why? They issue BMC officer because there is a MRTP, then you can't go to the city civil court, you have to go to the high court, and the criminal liability fastened there too. This is nothing but a misuse of power by the authority. And that is required to be dealt with. Also GST issue. For the rehab component, which my brother will say, it has been fastened upon this particular rehab component improper. Because in the city of Mumbai, you cannot equate with the Gadchiroli, Vidarbha, Nagpur, or this particular Kerala, Kochi, or Kanyakumari. Island of Mumbai has got the different issues altogether. Now, therefore, if that particular rehab component get equated with this particular cell component, no development will be possible at all. If you want to development of the property, then the development property will has some sensitiveness, some sort of a reasonable understanding. Let me put in that way. Now today, affordable housing is totally out of dream because of the premium which the corporation charge it. And corporation not only take a premium, they delay on the premium, then interest on that. And interest not paid, then penalty on that. And then penalty goes on compounding, and then say very well one day will say that we are attaching the property. So, penalty on penalty. GST on the penalty. You will find there are so many things. Now, these are the according to me, the law is always there. Only thing that you have to infuse the life into the law so as to make it the purposeful meaning to the life of the people. Now, when you infuse the life into that particular law to making the life there meaningful, then you will get a real life into this one. And we will definitely are in that particular process in various aspects, and definitely we will do it. I will now request, because it is always better for the lawyer, because he is always sustained in the fairies of the question by the judge, which is normally irrelevant. But here we want it that for the relevant things come to you, so I can give the answer for that in the event that. I think Suyog and this particular team, I can request anybody that if you have got any query on that one, on the point of this one. Ishore Sahib. Arey wah, I'm so happy. That means nobody has understood me correctly.
Okay, okay.
Hingorani is always like that one.
Sir, I will, on their behalf, I will ask you
Please.
a few questions. I was really talking about that particular, hello. मला भूक लागली असेल बहुतेक. I honestly. So regarding that RG matter at Supreme Court, so what I was telling ki the regulation has been finalized with due process of law, and then one fine day somebody challenges it, and now the challenge is for last about 1 year or more than that. Is it a judgment, or is actually we don't need any judgment, we need justice? Is it not? So how fair it is, or our understanding is wrong? Please highlight that.
See, sometimes it so happen, the best case you get a worse decision, and worst case you get a best decision. It's a practicing lawyer, as I am telling you. But sometimes they have got a different intention in the mind. They have to look into from you can say a stranger point of view, as a totally alien from that particular problem. Sometime while dealing with the problem, they get involved in the problem and give a solution to you. But sometime they remain at the periphery of the problem, and they see that the problem get dissolved or resolved by the passage of time. But the best medicine for everything is a time, which our politicians have taught to us, and which is practiced in the real life. See, even the judges also, they have not come from the different planet. They are a part of the society. Before getting elevated as a judge, they were there. Passage of time, they have traveled here. So they also know these are the weak points, or rather these are the points which can be dealt at the later stage. Now see, invariably, if I take now same example, BMC appeal, if you require to do in property matters, they tell to deposit 100% payment. A person who is saying that levy ex specie bad in law can be heard by only by deposit of money. That's mockery of a law, honestly speaking. That means if I don't have the money to deposit that for the getting that my appeal admitted, I am helpless with challenging that particular order. Therefore, the system of the PIL has come. But in PIL, if you have got your own interest, then you are not entitled to agitate the PIL. Yesterday, there was one particular case which I just wrap up and tell within 1 minute. That 79A, which is normally, Where were some of the members who say that the 79A is not applicable to us because though we are the member, we have got a different ideology. They argued before Chief Justice yesterday that we are different ideology and this particular group is of a different ideology. But we are admitting that we are a member of this society. Then the first question which we said that if you are the member, then the co-member there can't be a different person. It's society. They said, no, we do not follow their ideology. We don't want to participate it. The court said that very well. Then what is your query? They say that 79 is totally contrary to the law. 79A is contrary to the law. It take away my right to the property under Article 300A. It thrust upon me. Which thrust upon me in such a fashion that if they are the majority, 40 people, and we are 10, then they trust their particular decision on us and we then bow before them. This is the way they try to interpret. The court says, sorry, if this is the analogy, if you take it, then the election also held in that fashion. Immediate answer. So yesterday there was a big debate on the point in the court whether that it can, but here was the case whereby the court immediately understood the point. So sometimes the court come to the rescue. It is so only sometimes what happened. Sometimes the court unable to understand what exactly the passing in the mind of the person who is agitating these particular grievances before them. Hidden motives are also there. Therefore, Supreme Court has said sometimes the public interest litigation is not a public interest litigation, it's a publicity interest litigation. In fact, in European country, it is called a social welfare litigation. That's correct concept. Social welfare litigation. It has to be there. Now, I was talking with the Isore Saab. You people have to take a case for this particular architect paternity. Because architect cannot make a scapegoat for the sin which might have been committed by his particular person who has hired up his particular services. Because I have seen, last 1 year I have seen 3 cases of the architect came to me and they were gullible. I felt it very bad for them because ultimately they were colleagues and they were the members of this particular association. And they have been roped in unnecessarily for any reason. Why not as an association we should take that particular plea that what is this? This can't be in this way whereby today you are taking to RERA, tomorrow you will take a consumer, tomorrow then you will take the High Court, then you will file a writ and then jump in. In one of the cases, the High Court, the writ was filed against that particular architect saying that he has incorrectly drafted that particular sketch, whatever the plan, and by virtue of that we had a trouble. This was the thing. The judge told him first you remove him as the architect and then you file it. And the writ against the private person, how it can be lie? The court was kind enough immediately to tell that, but this is happening. So Ishwar Sahab, this is the request, and Sukhatme Sahab, you can definitely look into this particular aspect. And once again, thank you very much. I just given a general view and the very precise, and as far as the Pradeep is concerned, I know you Pradeep father well that time. Pradeep is just a young boy now. Of course, no two-way. Pradeep's father was then practicing, roaring practice in the city civil court. I was then beginner and I had an opportunity to against him in that matter. Very seasoned person. And as a youngster, you always furious. You say, calm down, boy. What is the matter? Yeah, aapka client. Don't worry. And before my client was started suspicious. I am talking with him. What is this? Yeah, this. Well, settle ho jayega. He made me and he gave me that knowledge. That is what I am talking about, knowledge what you talk about. He said that, look, your client want A thing, my client want B thing. We will make it, then come to the one particular midway and make it a C and both will be happy. And that is what he said, that take 1 week time. I took a 1 week time because, see, these are the word of the experienced person who is in the field. And after 1 week, exactly same thing happened. We parted very happily. Thereafter, I had occasion to come in his particular matter thrice. In all 3 times, we settled the matter. That is the knowledge. Otherwise, the party would have tangled into that particular litigation for a decade. In one of the matter, when he was my opponent, I told my client, he will be your arbitrator. See, that's give the confidence. invariably the problem get erupted or multiply because of the who is the other side. Our 50% problem, who is the other side. If our 50% problem gets solved when other side is like this, like his father. D.T. Gandhi was known for that one. And I'm really happy that Pradeep is following that legacy, and also his son too, who is now must be in the wing to join the chamber. Best luck for them. Best luck for everybody. Thank you very much.
Sir, you spoke about law and how the laws are implemented. Specific question about MAD Act. 79A and 79B of MAD Act. No, this is not Cooperative Societies Act, but MAD Act. It gives power to the, first it puts the onus on the landlord to develop, and then gives the power to the tenants to develop, if the landlord doesn't develop in 6 months' time. Issue is how will the law doesn't provide for how the title will flow. Suppose the tenants decide to develop, appoint a developer, property gets developed, how the title will flow from the original owner, because finally original owner is opposing the development. That's why he has not started the development. How the title will flow from the original developer to the new entity, which is the society.
Okay, that's a good question. There is an inbuilt provision which says that the first right of refusal is given to the owner of the land because he is getting deprived of his particular land. But they give his first time the 3 months and additional another 3 months. The 6 months is a reasonable restriction. Let's put in a reasonable restriction. Thereafter, the cooperative society of the tenant, they come together. They have to make a valuation of his particular property, which is inbuilt provided, either 25% or the 15% of the area. They have to carve out that much and make it available into the plan itself. His right of the owner, he may challenge it. There is no problem. And if the project gets completed by virtue of this mechanism, then in that event they will be calling upon this particular owner to take that money or take that area which is given to them, which the passage of time, nearly 4 years, owners will definitely take it. If suppose the 5% owner does not take it, then in that event, it will remain in the limbo. And the court will then appoint a court receiver to execute document for and behalf of this owner in favor of the proposed cooperative society on 30 years lease. Renewable every 10 years. That is the mechanism. But again with the rider, if at all he has challenged it, now there is a challenge in the Bombay High Court. LIC is one of the biggest landlord. They have challenged it. That saying that this particular land cannot be taken away from us because we are the public. That is what. Otherwise, there is no stay on this one. Law presumed to be valid unless it is set aside by the constitutional bench. So whenever there is a law, presumption is it is for you. So then we will never get a stay on the constitutional validity unless it is tested in the flora of the constitutional bench. So presumption is always in favor of the lawmaker, not in the person who alleged that particular law. So in this case, there is the mechanism is provided there too. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for yet another knowledgeable session and adding more to our legal knowledge. Our next expert is Advocate Pradeep D. Gandhi. Shri Pradeep Gandhi is a third-generation lawyer with 27 years of practice at the bar. He is the proprietor of the firm P.D. Gandhi and Associates. His expertise lies in litigation. His firm has several matters at all 3 branches of City Civil Court at Mumbai, Dindoshi and Mazgaon, Maharera, as well as other forums in Mumbai. He has expertise in conveyancing and deals in various redevelopment projects, ranging services from negotiating, conferences, drafting, preparing and vetting of development agreements, power of attorneys, permanent PED, AAA agreements, and various other documents related to redevelopment projects. He holds expertise in giving legal opinions on arbitration matters as well as partnership laws. He believes in a one-size-fits-all model. His list of practice is a very large list to read in the time given to me, but he deals in a large area of practice. I welcome Shri Pradeep Gandhi to address the audience.
Respected members of PIATA, the Managing Committee, Sukhatme sir, thank you for inviting me. This is my first association with PIATA for the first time. I know Sukhatme sir for, I think from the time I'm a child. He has been coming to my home, meeting my late father for some legal issue or something or the other. And that association still continues, where he's always there. I'm taking his assistance. Sometimes he takes my assistance. And that's how we are here. I'm a third generation lawyer practicing mainly on the city civil and sessions court side, only civil matters, doing 29 years of practice primarily on all civil disputes, which may include civil family disputes, BMC, MRTP Act. I'm an expert, where I think Sanjay Kadam sir has already given his inputs. All BMC Act, all wherever illegal constructions are there and notices have been issued, I'm an expert in getting stay orders for so many number of years. In fact, just 2 days back, I was arguing for Poonam Chambers, where almost 23 suits were filed by me pertaining to various additions, alterations in their respective offices. Some of them have made some chambers or cabins for private purposes. Some have encroached balconies, etc. And they all have been issued notices, and I have been arguing the matters now kept for orders. Besides that, I'm doing a lot of RERA matters. I do a lot of redevelopments and a lot of other subjects, all related to civil matters, also including money suits, recovery suits, acknowledgement of debts, and everything like related to anything civil dispute. My primary role of practice is City Civil Court, which has got a jurisdiction of 10 crores, which started in 2024, a year back. Prior that it was less. That's my scope of practice. Today I have been invited here to give my expertise on redevelopment and deemed conveyance. So may I just start with what is first deemed conveyance. Now deemed conveyance has been incorporated by way of an amendment in 2008 in the Maharashtra Ownership Flats Act, called MOFA in short, by incorporating section 11A. There was a special incorporation to section 11 by adding the word 11A, where under 11A, instead of going for a conveyance in a civil court, to cut short the whole procedure of going to civil courts, which are time consuming, may take 10 to 20 years, the legislature thought it fit and proper to incorporate 11A and sending it to a tribunal, or what we call as a DDR, District Deputy Registrar, incorporated under 11A, who is a government authority who has been empowered to grant deemed conveyance. Now I'll explain to you all what is the meaning of conveyance first. Under Maharashtra Ownership Flats Act and now the RERA, conveyance is a mandatory requirement of a builder whenever he is developing a property. Whether the property belongs to him or he is developing as a developer and not as an owner, the moment he develops a property and constructs a building, maybe rehab and sale, he is bound to give conveyance. And in fact, MOFA and the RERA Act say that within 6 months, conveyance is required to be granted upon formation of a society. Now, most of the times, most of the builders, obviously they are all your clients and also my clients, most of the builders do not like to give conveyance because they feel that let us exploit the plot or potential of this plot to the optimum use. So maybe by efflux of time, change in DCRs and regulations, there could be more FSI and they could get another opportunity to develop on that plot of land, and therefore they do not grant conveyance. In these circumstances, the MOFA Act was framed in 1966 and the RERA Act in 2017, explaining that whether a builder has, once the builder has made the building and sold majority of the flats, even if he has left some flats as unsold, he is mandatorily required to form a society and within 4 months grant conveyance. Now, because of that, deemed conveyance is not being granted by the builder. 11A incorporated, District Deputy Registrar authority was framed. So all the parties who desire to have a deemed conveyance can approach the District Deputy Registrar, and within a short span of time, could be around 6 months or a year, they hear the parties, follow certain procedures in law, and Upon hearing, in most circumstances, they grant deemed conveyance. Now that deemed conveyance order which has been passed is only an order by virtue of which the authority is saying that you have become like an owner but not an owner. After the deemed conveyance order has been passed, the society is required to approach the city survey department to incorporate their names in the property register card, which is the most important requirement for development of any property. If, because under DC regulations and BMC rules, which you are all aware, being architects, whenever a property is required to be developed, the incorporation of the party's name in the PR card is most essential, without which there can't be any development. Therefore, what the society is required to do is approach the city survey department, and I do not need to explain the other things. Then the city survey department is bound by virtue of that DDR order to incorporate the names of the society in the property register card to make it more potential for redevelopment. This is what the incorporation of 11A of MOFA is, and even today it is being followed. There are many situations which I come across, and I would love to share one of them with you, where many a times the situation is that these plots of some of the plots, some ingenious, intelligent draftsmen like lawyers and solicitors and like my learned friend Mr. Sanjay Kadam, in those days in 80s they came up with some new ideas. Now the ideas were that if an ex-owner is the owner of the property, that ex-owner wants to develop the property, but he enters into agreement with builder. The normal agreements which we keep on coming across are the development agreement signed, after development agreement power of attorney executed, and after power of attorney is executed, the developer submits plans for putting up for submission of plans and getting IODCC, and then he starts development, but the work is being done in the name of the owner. Now in those days in 80s, I have come across by my experience, the intelligent solicitors in those days, what they came up with a new idea. They started creating a lease on the plot of land, and they created two parties where a lessor is there and a lessee is there, and the lessees are allowed to occupy, and the society becomes a lessee of the land. And if they become lessee of land, the lease is granted for 999 years for a nominal lease of maybe 100 rupees per year, and they still retain ownership. And such type of matters which have come in 70s, 80s, where draftsmen have incorporated these lease agreements and leases, many people come to me and say, I want deemed conveyance. How can I get deemed conveyance for lease properties? Because deemed conveyance is only for ownership of land, not for leases. Under Transfer of Property Act, ownership is a different concept and lease is a different concept. So in such type of circumstances, some of the matters which have come to me I would like to share, where a society is the lessee and the lessor is some ex-person. The society wants to go in for redevelopment, but because deemed conveyance cannot be granted because they are lessees, what do we do? In such circumstances, I have already filed one application before DDR asking for assignment of lease, transfer of lease. That means there are certain portions where the lease is transferred from X to Y, after which if the DDR hears and grants an order of assignment of lease, we can go in for redevelopment. And the necessary entries be put into the property register card where the society becomes lessee, and then there are orders passed by Justice Arif Doctor in one of the cases where the Honorable High Court Justice Arif Doctor has passed an order saying you are allowed to redevelop a property although you are a lessee. And this is one of the few unique cases which are so important. The reason is I was trying to share this to all of you is most of the cases which we come across are normal building, society is there, owner has died or not there, developer is gone some 40 years back, deemed conveyance to be granted, which is very normally granted. But this is a unique case where there was assignment of lease. So this was one of the instances which I was sharing, which I like to share with you. The others are on the point of redevelopment. I do not need to explain. I think most of the persons here who are present here are well aware about redevelopment of societies. There are two types of redevelopment: self-redevelopment and builder redevelopment. Self-redevelopment, obviously, I think most of you members are very well aware, more incentives of FSI are given for self-redevelopment, where society is already the owner of the land and they want to do development by themselves. Because of they trying to do the development by themselves, incentives are given on premiums and other things to encourage more societies to go in for redevelopment by themselves. But in cases of builder redevelopment, many a times the same situation arises, like which has been explained by Kadam sir. Majority members want to go for redevelopment. Some minority members want to create a hindrance in the redevelopment. In such type of matters, there are umpteen number of judgments of Bombay High Court on this point, which explains that a minority members cannot scuttle the scope of redevelopment. The minority, in like how my learned friend said, some people are saying we are not agreeable only. Sorry, the Honorable High Court says that once you are the society and majority of the members have taken the scope of redevelopment and agreed to the scope of redevelopment, even if you are a non-cooperating member, even if you do not like this builder or don't want to go for redevelopment, you have to abide by it. The reason, one of the beautiful words used by Bombay High Court is, once a person becomes a member of a cooperative society, he loses his individuality, qua the society, and he has no independent right except those given to him by the statute and bylaws. This is one of the wordings of the Bombay High Court in the case of Girish Mehta versus Mahesh Mehta. So this is one interesting point which I think time and again we are coming across situations where the minority keeps on coming and saying, sorry, stop, I don't want to go for redevelopment. And most of the times what happens is, if majority signs the agreement, development agreement, and majority is ready to vacate, the minority is not ready to vacate. In all these situations, now the new scope of litigation is, there is an arbitration clause put in the development agreement, and under the arbitration clause, under the Arbitration and Conciliation Act, the Arbitration Conciliation Act is basically created to ensure that to avoid courts, avoiding going to courts which are time consuming. Therefore, the moment an arbitration clause has been incorporated under the Arbitration Act, the arbitrator is appointed between the builder and the society, and the arbitrator will hear both the parties and decide the issue. Now, in case of there being an urgency of the person who is not cooperating and is not ready to vacate the building, and because of his non-cooperation and non-vacating of building, the builder is unable to develop the property or demolish the old building, they can take recourse to Section 9 of the Arbitration Act. Section 9 of the Arbitration Act says that you can directly approach Honorable High Court, being the special arbitration court, and request the Honorable High Court's intervention, and request the Honorable High Court to request them to vacate. And in most of these situations, the Honorable High Court appoints court receiver and directs the non-cooperating member to vacate through the help of court receiver or police assistance. And they vacate, and after which the redevelopment process starts. So these are some of the examples. I am sure most of the professional brothers who have been here must be doing this time and again on this issue. Besides that, one more important point which I would like to also discuss is about 79A, as already pointed out. 79A of the Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act has been created to ensure that there is better transparency. Now, the provisions of 79A and circulars issued by the Maharashtra government say that whenever a major decision is being taken, especially for redevelopment, necessary notice is required to be given to all members, the compliance is to be done, and information given to the deputy registrar to remain present during that meeting, which will be recorded live, and in live video recording, everything done, signatures done, so that there cannot be any scope of ambiguity or dissent by any of the members, or anyone can allege that no, this was done very arbitrarily, high-handedly, behind our back, we do not know. So everything recorded. Now this was the scope of 79A. But many a times, situations have arisen in High Court and matters have come up where they are, 79A have not been complied with. And one of the grounds taken by a non-cooperating member is, sir, 79A is a guideline issued by Maharashtra government and under the Maharashtra, by the society, the Cooperative Society Department, and if it is not complied with, they have not followed this procedure, stop the redevelopment. In one such case, the matter came up before Justice Gautam Patel, and Justice Gautam Patel held that section 79A is not mandatory, it is directory, means it is only a direction, it is not compulsory. So it is not necessary that everyone is required to go through 79A compulsory, every society. Like for example, sometimes there are very small plots, very few members, hardly you will come across 8 to 10 members. If there are 8 to 10 member society, why should they go through the whole procedure of 79A? Why to give notice to deputy registrar? Why should he remain present? Where even if 7 or 8 have agreed and 1 or 2 have dissented, and we don't need to go through the 79A procedure, then it can easily be bypassed. We do not need to go through 79A at all. So therefore the Honorable High Court has said that 79A is not compulsory, but it is directory in nature. It is just a guideline. It is just giving you a little bit of an idea as to how to go through the process, otherwise not mandatory. Besides that, also there have been some instances where the minority members have been repeatedly saying that we are minority, we do not want to follow the resolution which has been passed by majority. In these matters, the Honorable High Court has categorically said that minority members cannot be allowed to act contrary to the resolution passed by the general body of the society and are bound to follow the resolution. So once a resolution has been passed, it cannot be thwarted by a minority. It's like very simple example. Today we are a democratic country. We are following the democratic process. In a democracy, there is going to be always going to be some people who will like and who will dislike. So, but if the majority likes something, it has to be done. If the ones who do not like, dislike, they have to bear it. The present example best is the current government. There may be a lot of people who have must have voted for other parties, but because they have lost doesn't mean that they have to keep on opposing it. So whatever the majority electorate has voted and whichever party has come into power, whether we like it or we don't like it, we need to accept it. That's the same process, the same principle should be applied for cooperative societies also. Besides that, as regards deemed conveyance, I have given my my inputs. As regards development also I have given my inputs. Just to add something more to a subject which is more closer to me and already just in continuation of Mr. Kadam's arguments. My learned friend was arguing on MRTP Act, BMC Act, and most of the matters which keep on coming across before me time and again are unauthorized constructions. I'd just like to add something. Like for example, I just came across day before yesterday another matter where building in Powai, Hiranandani Constructions, constructed building somewhere in 90s. It was done under MRTP Act. Building constructed, OC granted, people are occupying since 30 years. Suddenly some deviations have been done by the current occupier. And the current occupier, after deviations done, someone lodged a complaint against him. and when he lodged a complaint against him, the BMC issued notice under section 351 of BMC Act and not under MRTP Act. So my argument around a few days back was that if this building is made under MRTP Act, you have the plans with you, you are in possession, BMC has the plans with this, why are they not taking recourse to MRTP Act and why they are taking recourse to 351 of BMC Act? Please bear in mind, BMC Act and MRTP Act both are different. I don't need to explain. BMC Act is an act of 1888 as compared to MRTP Act, which has been framed in 1966. So the BMC Act, which was applicable at that time, should be applicable to the older buildings, especially in island of Mumbai, because in those days there was no town planning scheme, there was no MRTP Act formed, and it was much prior to independence, India's independence. And the Britishers had made those buildings, which we are seeing in island of Mumbai, mainly the parts of Girgaon, Chowpatty and all those areas, where there was nothing like development control rules, including our own fort and fountain, where our professional lawyers and brother community are all having their respective offices. So in those, it is my submission that wherever BMC does not have any plan, they can take recourse to the BMC Act. But in matters where they have a plan in their custody, they need to take recourse to only the MRTP Act. So my suggestion, my request is, like, I am just, because this is one of my first speeches and lectures being given by me, I would like to have it as more of an interactive session rather than only a speech. So I request that if anyone has any queries, please, you are welcome. I am ready to answer any one of your queries if you have any doubts.
Good evening, sir. As you rightly pointed out that in lease properties where societies are there, deed of assignment is given, and then the society, I think, has the right to redevelop without the NOC of the original lease. But do you think the BMC would accept this interpretation, and or they would insist NOC from the lease?
Yeah, for that there is a writ filed in the Honorable High Court and the matter is sub judice, and one of the judgments of Bombay High Court categorically mentions that you are allowed to redevelop. Otherwise, it's going to be a very bad situation where a building is 50 years old and maybe that building, because of efflux of time, has become dilapidated, uninhabitable, not able to be withstand the next few years. It could demolish. Where will that society or that member go? He has no other alternative. Landlord is going to say, I am not going to give NOC only. In such a situation, what is going to happen? Therefore, in such a matter, that one judgment I would love to share it with you all. Justice Arif Doctor has said very, very clearly that there has to be a change of assignment of lease along with redevelopment. Now, when 50 years back, when a agreement for lease or a development agreement was signed, no one even in Bombay had ever thought of the word redevelopment. Because that time Bombay was developing. It was not completely developed. After 90s, it got fully developed. So the word in the clauses of the agreement also, the words redevelop has never occurred because it was not possible only. It was beyond anyone's imagination. But the Honorable High Court, in its own wisdom, keeping in mind the redevelopment process and the society at large and the difficulties being faced by people in such circumstances, has granted relief in that manner.
Hello. Can I ask?
Ek second.
In the lease property, you can redevelop. But what about the rights of the additional FSI? Whether it is the original owner or society can have it?
That issue has not yet been discussed, but the rights of the lessor still remain on paper.
Redevelopment at his own cost.
At his own cost.
That is the only construction cost there,
Yes.
Sir, I have questions. Mostly this luxuries area, Juhu, is on a lease. So that property will never be a ownership property, freehold?
Never.
What is the reason for that?
The reason is very simple. First and foremost, there are different types of lease. Like for example, you come across in island of Mumbai, most of the leases are government collector lands. They are government. Now government is the owner. Government has come up with a new policy of transfer of lease and granting long-term leases on a certain policy framed by them. Because they are government, because they are owners, they have framed it. But when it's a private lease, it is always the will and wish of the owner, because under Transfer of Property Act, the owner is supreme. He can do whatever he desires. You cannot stop him. So this is the difficulty, but I'll share with you about Juhu, my experience. Now, in 1960s, the JVPD scheme was formed. I don't need to tell, I think most of the people know it. And if you are aware that in those days, large tracts of land were given to societies, one society. And that society gave small plots of land to make their respective bungalows. Because in those days, bungalow schemes were there in Juhu, in 60s. So what has happened is, obviously 60s, Bombay was different, bungalow schemes were given. The situation there is so peculiar now, because it's already 20, 24, 60 years have gone, the whole of Bombay has completely changed. The situation here today is, that bungalow, person wants to redevelop, he wants to make it into building, he makes a building, but he can't form a society. He cannot form a society. He will have to form something called a federation or a association of persons, and where there will be declaration of common areas, something like a condominium, but not a condominium. It can't be a condominium, because condominium comes under Maharashtra Apartment Ownership Act, for which there is a special act. Unfortunately, in this, there can't be an act, because your parent owner of the land is a society. So what will happen, the situation which we are facing today is, that owner is still the member of that parent society. He makes a building, in that building he sells flats, and those people are only owners of their respective flats, but they can never be member of that society, and they will have to do some internal understanding and arrangement between themselves how to manage this building. It's a very peculiar situation. What do you do?
Yeah, even after paying so much of land cost and all.
It's not possible.
But development is possible.
I don't need to tell. I think most of the people are seeing what's going on. All the Gujarati, top shot Gujaratis are developing there. All want to buy huge properties and huge buildings there and floors. No share certificate, no question, no question.
It's not a freehold.
JVPD scheme not possible. Association, owner of structure, owner of flat only. Owner of flat on the plot of land, on the plot, so they need to form something like an association, and I'm advising some of my clients for that. They are coming tomorrow to me. Same issue, same problem. Builder wants to develop, they are saying, sir, we don't know where we are going. So don't worry, you have to do this, there is no other answer to this. Because you are not governed under any act now. You don't come under MOFA, you don't come under RERA, you don't come under Maharashtra Apartment Ownership Act. So you have to create your own thing, something as a standby arrangement, because this is a typical problem only in Juhu. Whole Bombay has no problem, only Juhu has this problem. That cannot be a cooperative society. Impossible. How can you have, the reason is the parent society is the main society. Who is the owner of that land? Unless that society agrees to give NOC and allows you to bifurcate and make it into your own independent land, then you can make another society, which no one needs. Yes. Yes. No. Not possible.
What the society has to do to make it a separate ownership to the
They cannot, unless it is given, a decision is taken by the parent society in a committee where they can say, yes, we'll make you owner, which they have never done up till now. See, the problem arose in somewhere in 2000s, 90s, up to 1990s, 2000s, bungalows were there. Suddenly, some bungalow owner who must have been financially good in 60s must have become not so good, and he wants to develop, and a builder is trying to exploit and not make a bungalow but make a building. In that circumstances, he goes and takes a legal opinion, and the legal opinion given by some of our brothers must be a little bit of a not so good opinion, where they write that you are allowed to develop the land, but you cannot become owner of society. And at that time, society must have given NOC for developing. Otherwise, it cannot be developed, because even today, the PR card will be in the name of that society. Not possible. Bungalow owner originally in 1966 was a member of that parent society. No, I'll explain. Now, in 1966, when that parent society was given a huge chunk of land, that parent society gave small plots of land to members of their society to make bungalows. Same goes to our Amitabh Bachchan, everyone's bungalow. They are all part of one parent society. So like that, there are 7 to 10 societies. There are 7 to 10 societies. They are all owners of large chunks of land. And they are all, yes. And they are all members, just to make it more lighter, all of them are members of Jujim Khana, because the moment Jujim Khana was created by them, by those members.
Incidentally, right?
Sir, I have my question in 2 parts. Thank you for your wonderful understanding and enlightening us about this. What is the fastest process for change in assignment of lease? If it has to be done.
TDR.
Part 1, but TDR. Second part is, I give you a situation. The land is owned by the salt department or any central government department. It is given to a society on lease. Now the society has to redevelop it.
No, for that situation is very different. Why? Because salt department comes under central government.
Yeah. So, okay.
For central government, they have their own policies. Like how Maharashtra government has created a new policy now.
Right.
The same way central government will create, because both are in tandem with each other.
Is the policy in existence?
Right now, I don't think central government has a policy. State government has a policy.
Yeah, because what has happened in Mulund, Bhandup,
Yeah,
all the way,
I understand.
a lot of central government lands.
But there will be a policy created. I'll tell you why. Because Marine Drive comes under CPWD, Central Public Works Department. So if you see those Art Deco buildings which are on Chowpatty, Marine Drive, they are all collector land, but not state government.
Yeah.
Central government.
Right.
So all those buildings are obviously dying its own death because of efflux of time, salinity of the sea, too much of hitting of that salinity. So their times are also going to go bad. They will 101% come up with some policy. It has to be. It cannot be done otherwise.
Yeah.
And see, finally, let us understand. As a lawyer, my duty is to explain to you that policies obviously are created by governments, but importance should be given to the word owner, and that is who is the lessor and lessee. Lessor is the owner of the land. He is the supremacist under Transfer of Property Act. It is his desire what he wants to do or he doesn't want to do. A private individual can take his own individual decision, but a government, being a responsible democratic body, will obviously come up with public affiliated policies to please the public. So there will be some policy which will come in the later on.
What is the way to make them or provoke them to make a policy?
File a writ.
File a writ.
Yes.
Thanks.
Hello.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it should be a PL.
The extension of his question, is DDR allowed or permitted to have assignment of lease?
TDR, sorry?
It's permitted. It's empowered for
Yes.
assignment of lease.
Yes. So, assuming you go for assignment of lease to DDR,
Yeah.
the DDR hears you and assigns lease to you.
Okay.
Based on that assignment of lease done in the property register card, the plans will be submitted. So obviously any builder or any developer who is going to submit plans or take it up for redevelopment will obviously take benefit of all the possible benefits available on that land, which will include TDR.
But in
Additional FSI rights are not with them. Let's see, the TDR also will not be there.
Yeah, for that issue is being, Justice Arif Doctrine only one matter has given a verdict. It's not become very, very clear. The issue which was being dealt in that case was the owner challenged the order passed of DDR before Justice Arif Doctor. Because DDR passed an order in favor of the society by assignment of lease. So what he did was he filed a writ, the owner, and said, this order I am challenging. So Justice Arif Doctor gave a verdict saying no, the assignment of lease is perfect. Everything done is perfect. Rights of the society have to be given. You cannot say it should be continued till eternity or till the time the lease period is over. Now sometimes leases are for 999 years, which is more than the average life of a human being.
But doesn't lesser have a right to oppose his rights?
You have a right.
And another
In
question-
court of law.
Yeah. And another question, like you talked about the BMC Act and MRTP Act. But in case of conflicts, is the subject matter is same? There is no provision that this prevails that.
No, as of now, more prevailing is the MRTP Act because slowly, steadily, old buildings in Bombay are fading away. So the old buildings which were constructed prior to 66, prior to formation of the MRTP Act, are all going. So obviously MRTP Act is going to prevail. If you are seeing island of Mumbai, slowly you see all of them are, these old chawls are being demolished and huge towers are being coming up, obviously with so much of less open space conditions, all deficiencies are being condoned, keeping in mind that what are we going to do? It's not going to be possible for anyone to develop. And why will a builder not develop unless he doesn't get incentive of FSI? Otherwise it's not going to be possible.
That means MRTP prevails BMC Act.
Yes, MRTP will prevail because you'll find in MRTP there is MRTP-PL, why my net finance said correctly, but also you'll find in the MRTP there is a provision, section 156, which talks about if there is inconsistency between any particular act, notwithstanding anything contained there too, the provision made herein will prevail. So they have removed that particular irony, but you have to make a distinction between that one. Otherwise 156 will prevail.
So this is called the enabling provision. It's called an enabling provision 156.
And as far as that salt is concerned, sorry. You can. And secondly also
But
you'll find.
policy nahi hai sahab, काय करायचं? There's no other option.
See, even a TDR, what you are talking right, as far as the TDR is concerned, the revenue authority is very conservative for that. Because of change in the scenario last 2 years. About a new topic which has come into the DCPR about the so-called Dharavi. Therefore, there is a conservative attitude on the part of the ruler to give to their subject. Let me put in that way. The recent judgment of the Supreme Court, cutting off that particular TDR, propose amenity and the existing amenity. Now, there is, according to me, with the respect to the verdict of the Supreme Court, we are bound to respect it, we are a lawyer. But I do not feel any particular rationale behind that one. Because if I am a law-abiding citizen, and I willfully has handed over my particular piece of land, like language of our President, Kaljata Tukada, and I have given that with the law-abiding citizen, and that become an existing amenity, and later on when the time come for me to reap the benefit of that particular thing, they say, sorry, you can't. But if I would have shown the propose, I would have got the TDR. So henceforth, don't take a shock. The TDR will become a very rare commodity unless and until you knock the door of D. Because there is a special provision made into the DCPR whereby the person who wanted to take the TDR, 40% has to be taken from them. With the price will be quoted by them. And with the availability, they want to give it to you. So regime of the TDR, which was considered once upon a time as a boon for to making your particular proposal viability, it will now become a nightmare for the various particular people, including the architect there, to convince their client to load the TDR. That is what the wings of the wind which are now flowing in that directions. And therefore, Ishwari Sahab was saying why sometime the policy maker make a policy and the court pass the judgment later. As a practicing lawyer, we always go into that particular regime. We can't escape from that.
Just to add one more line to my learned friend's points. I was just reading in the newspaper a few days back, the government is planning to propose something called a dashboard for buying and selling of TDR. Yes. Now, basically, TDR right now is being just private entity. You just go and discuss with someone, buy it, and some undisclosed price is being quoted. Some may quote high, some may quote low, depending upon the market fluctuations. Once a dashboard comes, things will change. It will be like a fixed price somewhere. Everyone will come to know because it's on public domain. It becomes very easy.
I mean, the intent behind it
I think it's a good intent. It's a good intent.
To make it transparent.
Transparent.
So that there will not be any Subject to
The
rates.
intent of the current regime is always transparency.
Ah, that is there. That is there.
My query is regarding deemed conveyance and redevelopment. In case of smaller plots, the deemed conveyance, there is no any problem because when a society goes for the deemed conveyance, the entire plot is conveyance to the society. But in case of larger plots, when the owner gives development rights to developer, constructs the building, 1 building, 2 building and 3 buildings, and he left the site. He doesn't give the conveyance to the federation, making federation also doesn't form the society. But in that case, the society is formed the flat owners, either in cooperation with the builder or non-cooperation with the builder, and society gets the dim conveyance, and in that case, the DDR gives the dim conveyance for the footprint and the apartment open space. Again, for society too, he gives the dim conveyance in the same pattern, the footprint and the apartment open space. And in that case, in case of the redevelopment of such societies, all these societies cooperate, but they don't cooperate each other. So how that situation to be tackled in case of redevelopment?
See,
Is there any legal provision?
There is no legal position because I've come across such matters where situations have arisen where on a larger plot of land, one society which was already formed is there in the extreme corner, and actually that society should have been given deemed conveyance for the whole plot of land, but for other reasons, situation is the larger plot of land belonged to the original owner. He may be having a bungalow or something, and after some time he enters into a negotiation with a builder, and the builder comes into picture, and builder has realized that I need to go for deemed conveyance, otherwise they will go and I will be left in lurch, and they will become owner and I will be left. So what they do is they apply for deemed conveyance by creating a new society, and after creating a new society, they go for deemed conveyance, and obviously by convincing the DDR by hook or by crook, the DDR passes an order of a deemed conveyance in their name and granting only 33% rights for that small society in that extreme corner. So what happens is majority of the chunk is taken away by the other party.
In one of the cases that in Mulund itself, there is 3 societies are there. The deemed conveyance is granted, but all the part of that plot is not granted by the deemed conveyance.
Which is wrong.
Yes.
If you ask me my personal view is very clear. If it's a larger plot of land, it should be a federation formed and conveyance should be given to federation. And the federation should be formed consisting of all societies, and in that formation of federation, there has to be specific words. What are the common areas? What are the restricted areas? What are your areas? How to distribute common areas? How to distribute taxes for every land? Everything should be specified therein. Unfortunately, no one does it, and we lawyers sometimes we come across such situations. We guide our clients, please do it, we are ready to assist you. For some whatever reason, maybe financial or whatever, situations arise where they are unable to do it. But otherwise the law is very clear. Federation should be formed. In fact, I just won one matter of 1979. Very interesting. 1979 suit. Suit of 1979 I won in 2025. 2025, a situation arose where a suit was filed by the society saying, give me conveyance. Reported judgment, Kadam Sahib, Megh Ratan. That matter I won just now in January, February. The society says, give me conveyance of the land. I am for the builder. I said, sir, I have a huge chunk of land. It's a phase-wise development. I have made a mention of it in my agreement that I am going to develop the property phase-wise. So I make your building, I'll make some buildings later on. And there are disputes also. There are some tenants on that plot of land. I need to vacate them. If I want to vacate them, I have to go to small causes court, where it's going to take 10 years to vacate them. They may file appeals, they may go to High Court, they may go to Supreme Court, it may be 25 years. That doesn't mean that I should be deprived of my right to not develop the land. So I took up this defense for the builder. And I told the Honorable Court, I said, sir, I do not want to say that I don't want to give him conveyance, but I am ready to form a federation. Let me develop my full, the plot of land to the highest potential available today. I will make my other buildings. I have already made majority of them. Some remain, but after completing the whole project, I will form a federation and I will give conveyance to the federation. And the Honorable Court appreciated. And although I won the matter, their suit was dismissed, but the court has put up given a rider. Mr. Gandhi has said this, I am agreeable to this, I am directing them that you will form a federation and you will give conveyance to the federation. So this was very interesting, where I put it up and the Honorable Court appreciated. It's obviously going to be tested by Honorable High Court because this is a lower court. So most of the parties always like to go to High Court.
We have some time limit also.
Last question.
So, dinner is ready. So it should not become dim dinner. We should have real dinner, right? So
Last
remaining,
question.
of course, last question. We can take one or two more, but still we can continue this meeting. Rangli manto na, but it should be with food also now, right?
Yes, sir.
So please stand here. And I am feeling so embarrassed because I am making him stand. So I think you please sit and answer, right?
Yes, sir. Don't pass me time.
Yes. But don't make it dim dinner.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If a society has 10 members and they resolve to do self-development, out of that only 7 members can contribute for the funds which are required to develop the land. So the 10 members will get whatever is due to them by way of their existing area plus maybe 35% more. And again, they will load the TDR and premium FSI and the fungible FSI. And then there will be some sale component, naturally. So who owns that sale component? The 10 members or 7 members?
Very, very interesting question. Such a situation has never arisen in Mumbai at all. And I appreciate these words, this example given by you. But in my view, there is no precedent. Such a matter has never come to court at all, because self-development is a newly inducted phase just now in a few years. It is still at a very primitive stage and it is still tried and tested, but not so successful. Even today, many a times, most of the people would like to go for builder redevelopment. But assuming for a minute such a situation arises, it is my view, subject to obviously the court's intervention, my view that according to me development can't take place only. The reason being, even if they are majority, because it's a self-development.
No, everybody has consented for redevelopment. See.
Achha, even the non-cooperating person.
Yeah, no.
Those 3 people.
Everybody is cooperating.
Not contributing.
Because of their own financial resources,
So
they don't have the resources to.
In such a situation, the 7 should agree and spend the money, and after spending money, recover the cost after selling the property. This is what my view is.
No, see, if that property is developed by loading TDR, premium FSI, fungible, by contribution from 7 members. That's okay.
Finally, sale component जेव्हा आली, तर सेल कंपोनंट मध्ये जितकं विकतात ते सगळं रिकवर करू शकतात आरामात आणि ते मायनस करून बाकीचे 3 मेंबरचे जे आहे त्यांना द्यायला विथ इंटरेस्ट. इट कॅन बी डन. फॉर दॅट देयर हॅज टू बी एन अग्रीमेंट और अ कन्सेन्सस
between the members. Amongst the members, there has to be an agreement, registered agreement.
Yes. Otherwise, what will happen is because of these 3 members who are not contributing, why will 7 suffer? Why will they spend so much of money?
No, they are, 7 members are agreeing to bear the cost of construction or everything. Even the 3 members which are not contributing, they are giving consent. But after allotting the, say, whatever is the rehab component, their existing plus 35, something will remain for sale.
Yes.
So that sale component, it is derived from basically the land.
No, the sale component has to be mutually agreed between the those 10 members how they will distribute the profits.
Okay, that will
See,
be.
understand, it can be society will sell the flat, not an individual member. Or unless and until society and members agreed की समजा 12 फ्लॅट आले 10 फ्लॅट आणखीन वाढले आणि 10 मध्ये सगळ्यांना एक एक एक
No, no.
द्यायचं.
So is. Okay, okay. I'll come.
No free advice.
If he gives any more advice, please donate to theatre.
चला. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the passionate session. We would definitely look forward to more sessions from you because this session felt incomplete. We would like more time with you in future sessions because of our questions mainly. Before we go to the vote of thanks, I would like to only touch upon a few points so that we all remember have some takeaway. To summarize, Dr. Sanjay Deshmukh sir left us with the overarching fact that we have 1/6 of SGNP, a natural area. So rather, which is unique. So that is the main point of reservation. And then of course, when we develop the other part, that has to be thought well. The policy and planning recommendations, we all good office bearers can take us to a respective planning authorities, maybe MMRDA, BMC, wherever. At least our job is to take it to the appropriate authorities. Holistic planning approach, the roadmap for MMR's sustainable future is definitely going to be an asset to PIATA's library as well as another original publication. Advocate Sanjay Kadam sir's inputs on the application of MMR Act and the MRTP Act has been very insightful. He also touched upon the MAHAD Act when in response to Suyog sir's queries. He also gave his opinion on the new policy of MCGM, which is very recent one, which is not in line with the policy laid down by the courts. Advocate Pradeep Gandhi sir's session on redevelopment and deemed conveyance. We took away the point of assignment or transfer of lease, which can lead to redevelopment of such leased properties. Also, the majority rule, where he quoted the Bombay High Court statement in the Girish Mehta case. Also, one case, the Meghratan case, which is the positive order from the City Civil Court, is one of learning and of interest to many of our professionals. Overall, it was a great session, and I will request Shri Akshat Dubal to give the vote of thanks.
First of all, I would like to acknowledge the presence of Principal JJ College of Architecture. Yeah, and we would like our President Shri Sandeep Isore to felicitate him. Yeah, please.
Respected members, I'm sorry I did not introduce myself. I'm Rajiv Mishra. I'm currently principal of Sir JJ College of Architecture. I'm currently principal of Sir JJ College of Architecture. Yeah, Directorate of Art, Government of Maharashtra also. It's an additional charge. I have been a member of the Environment Committee and several committees in the government. For us, it is a very good learning exercise because we impart training to our students. PIATA is the only organization which talks to the point and on the dot. And I'm extremely grateful, Gandhi sir, Kadam sir, to be having the privilege to listen to you. There were several questions I'm sure we have to ask, but I think this is a great time for us because we are now doing development versus ecosystem safety. I think I have not gone through the paper, sir, but it is a great privilege to have our former Vice Chancellor, Bombay University, Dr. Sanjay Deshmukh, to be able to give his time to be with us. Thank you, sir. So environment versus development is always a big challenge, and I think PIATA is going to find solutions and make way for the city of Bombay. Because city is a place where we all learn to experiment, explore, and develop it the right way. Yes, I'm sure PIATA, ये सुरेश साहब आपको रिक्वेस्ट है कि आप एक और सेशन करिए. It will be great. Thank you so much.
We acknowledge the presence of Executive Engineer Shri Sawant from Building Proposal Special Cell. Ishwar sir to felicitate him. So, I would like to thank President Shri Sandeep Isore and Convener Shri Shirish Sukhatme for organizing this event. And I would like to thank Shri Dr. Sanjay Deshmukh, Advocate Sanjay Kadam, and Advocate Shri Pradeep Gandhi for making it convenient to attend the event and enlightening our audience. And I would like to thank all the members for attending the event and making it a successful one. As requested by them, we will again plan and make another seminar, line of few seminars. And we would request all the committee members to come up on the stage for photograph, and everybody is requested to join for dinner. President C. Sandeep Isore wants to say a few words.
शेवटचं वाक्य बोलतो सर की थँक्यू ऑल द थ्री फॉर कमिंग. अगदी चांगल्या शब्दात सांगायचं तर आमचं मन पण भरलं आणि पोट पण भरलं आहे, जरी जेवायची झाली असली तरी. त्यामुळे यू हॅव गिवन अस इन्स्पिरेशन टू कंडक्ट सच नॉलेज सिरीज सेमिनार्स टाईम अँड अगेन ॲज ही हॅज रिक्वेस्टेड. इट वॉज दी रियल ओपिनियन ऑफ द क्राऊड की ही वॉन्ट्स मेनी मोर सच सेशन्स. देशमुख सर तुमची सुटका नाही आता, कारण हे दोघं आमच्या घरचे आहेत, पण तुम्ही पण आता आमचे झालात, त्यामुळे आम्ही वारंवार तुम्हाला त्रास देऊ. सो वी विल सर्टनली हॅव मेनी मोर सेशन्स लाईक दिस. Most of the thanks goes to the convener, I would say. He has arranged, and Suyog also, to make this particular leaf of the knowledge series successful. Thank you once again. मुलीचं लग्न असल्यानंतर जसं सांगतात तसं जेवल्याशिवाय कोणी जाऊ नये असं सांगतो.